Got a lot to get to today. We will talk Final Four. We'll talk Auburn spring football. And we'll talk Florida spring football. They had their first scrimmage yesterday, which we'll combo that with a little Florida basketball as they're taking on the Auburn Tigers in the Final Four. We have NFL news today to get to. We have some college football news that we didn't necessarily cover yesterday that we need to get to today. A contract for a new coach and the NCAA stepping in, something that they don't do very often. One of our favorite entities is at it again. We need to talk about that. I don't know if you want to do that first segment of the show, Greg, if you want to wait on that one. How you want to handle that? You want to get it out of the way first, or you want to have some lighter conversations to open things up?
Just get out of the way.
Okay. Yesterday, floating through social media, I follow a couple guys that cover the UFL, obviously, because I work in the league. I see different things. I want to keep up with different things. Thomas World, WRRLD.
WRR?
World.
Maybe the W's silent.
The world is yours. Is that a Nissan? What is that commercial?
Don't recall.
Bum, bum, bum.
Must have been a good commercial.
I'm going to give you his bio. Panthers.braves.magic.preds.bama.stallions.wrestlingfan.milton-williams-hater featured on TNT, Bleach Report, ESPN. I don't mean that as good, bad, indifferent. I'm not familiar with his work. Hadn't seen the tape. Doesn't mean he doesn't know ball. Doesn't mean he doesn't know things. So I'm not trying to go there. I'm not even blaming Thomas World on this.
Yeah.
What sideline I was on over the weekend, correct?
I do.
What's the lowest grade you ever saw a quarterback get for a game? From a coach, because that's really the only grades that matter.
Probably like 84.
So like a 1.5 isn't something that you really saw happen.
1.5?
Yeah.
They're great at 1.5?
Thomas World tweets out, former #Panthers and current Stallions offensive lineman Deontay Brown had a 1.5 pass block grade versus the defenders last Saturday, according to @PFF. I'm not going to try to say it was good. I'm not going to try to excuse it. I'm not going to try to say the offensive line even did good things.
Any?
Probably a couple. I haven't actually watched the tape of that one yet.
You had a good first step on rep 6.
But Greg, like just from a quarterback's perspective, and it's actually more extensive from a quarterback's perspective, but put it into some type of understandable phrasing. What grading a 1.5 would actually require from a football player, really and truly at any position?
It would require you playing around 100 snaps and only having a successful snap on one of them.
But here's where it gets tricky. The successful snap would be assignment, correct?
Well, if you want to break it up that way. So if you want to break it up with assignment.
No, but that's grade. That's what a grade is.
Well, we
got 3 grades for every game.
So you did. We got mental and physical. So we got 2 grades for every play. So in this particular case,
we got effort grade.
What?
Effort.
Yeah, we as quarterbacks gave effort on every play.
It was known.
It was an automatic plus. You linemen.
You were just looking for the on-3 plus.
You sloppy linemen. You guys take plays out.
That's why they call us hogs.
How?
Every now and then you rest.
Every now and then. I can't play a second down, coach. You see what I did on first down? I ran 9 yards. Second down, I got to catch my breath. Because on short yardage, we got to go and get them. We got to push them off. 1.5 means how many snaps did the Stallions play? With the running clock, they probably played 50 snaps.
I was looking it up right now. Trying to
60,
get to it.
maybe. 60 snaps, thereabouts.
I'll have it in a second. But
right,
I would say it's between 50 and 65, yeah. Because they went hurry up late. Maybe got a couple extra.
All right, so let's say 60 snaps just to call it an even number. That means you got 180 grades, which let's just say 150 for really, really simple math.
Sure.
And you got a 1.5?
Now, don't you do what Thomas World is doing. It is being stated by someone that he got a 1.5. They ran the ball 20 times and threw the ball 23 times in 43 plays. Here's how my brain computes this. In 43 plays, you would have had to, on probably 42 plays, we'll say 40 plays, literally go the wrong way. Like if you had a 3 technique and you're playing left guard on your outside shoulder, you pass that towards the center. It would have to be that egregious.
Yes.
Actually, you know what it probably would be? On a pass play, when you had a 3 technique, you just pull out to the right side. Or you fire off and run block the opposite direction. Or actually, a 1.5 in my brain would be you turn around and went and sack the quarterback, actually. Because you're going to need some minuses for the other things you did to get down to a 1.5. It's not just going to be a non-plus. You're going to need minuses to take you back down to a 1.5. But we got guys like Thomas World who comes out here and actually there was also a picture of Deontay Brown and parentheses, no, I'm not making this up. We don't think you're making it up, Mike, because we know what PFF does. We know how that works. We know what it is. We do think they're making it up, by the way. At least a large majority of it. And the problem here again is you have folks that take it and they put it out there for other people to digest that don't know what you're talking about. All they see is a number. And so what's our normal grading system out of? 100, right? So there are people who literally think that on 98.5% of what he did in the game, Deontay Brown failed. Because if you're going backwards, you're failing. It's not just not being good at it. You're actually failing. You're going the wrong way, and you're doing the opposite things that you're coached to get down to a 1.5. Now, here's the fun part. This could be out of 10. This could be out of 5. This could be out of 555. No one knows. You know why? Because they don't tell you. You want to know how they got the number? I'm not sure they know. But Thomas World doesn't know, nor does Greg know, nor do I know. You know why? They don't tell you. But we're going to take it, just like we did to the Kentucky kid who they said got a 0. And I came in here on Monday morning and showed Greg like 7 of his 20 pass reps where no one got near the quarterback.
That seems like a win to me.
We count those as a 0, though.
Yep.
Just because he didn't Orlando pace the guy. We got to stop doing this. We've got to stop taking these numbers and act like they're the gospel of football and spreading around to people that know less than you do. I'll give you a little bit of credit, Thomas World. At least you looked at the PFF to try to see what the kid did. You could have watched the game. We're talking about the game, not practice, not a graph, not a bar chart, not some kind of Da Vinci code. We're talking about the game. Watch the game. Because Thomas World, you could have watched the game and deciphered for yourself on, what do we say, 23 pass reps?
You said 23 pass reps, 20 run reps. 1 run reps.
So you go fast forward through the commercials, go fast forward through the run plays, and go watch the 23 pass plays. And I guarantee you, with whatever level of football knowledge you have, and obviously it's a lot because your bio says Bama and Stallions and Panthers.
And Braves, though.
Also Magic. And I don't know where that takes things.
Love the Magic.
That probably you could have deciphered for yourself right then and there. You know what, guys? I'm not going to put this out there publicly because I don't trust it. Just like Public Enemy told me back in the day. You can't trust it.
Uh-oh.
Not Public Enemy also said 911 is a joke. I think this even goes further to PFF as a joke when it comes to grading.
If you're off to a start in which you only had like 1 successful play in the first half, I got news for you. You're probably not playing the second half.
You know Coach Gooch like I do.
Gooch ain't playing.
If you're going backwards to that level to get to a 1.5, your ass is out. And we're on the way to school, so I apologize. It is a little early. The kids probably aren't in the car yet, so I'm sorry. But this is where we are this morning.
What I don't understand is why can't they just make their grading system known?
Not why would we do that? Then people wouldn't post it for other people to retweet and share and get clicks to your website.
But I just want to know like how they come up with it. I'm not asking for a lot here. I'm purely asking.
What I should have done is just make like a TikTok of Deontay Brown's pass sets. And yeah, there would have probably been some bad ones in there, but there's no way that it's out of 23 that he literally misses on 21 and a half of them.
Wasn't there a time when he was considered to be like the best lineman in Alabama history by some?
Maybe PFF.
180? They're trying to save face. Yeah, I feel like there was a moment where he was like
the recruiting guys that you talk about that try to keep guys good because they had him at the 5-star.
Oh, 100%. Like the guy can't play. Oh, he's just in a wrong system. Okay. Seen it.
Talent's always been there.
The guy that's transferred from USC to Boise and got beat out, and now is transferred to like New Mexico. He's a star in the making. Yeah, star in the making on his third school in 2 years, and has gotten beat out 4 times. But yeah, 5-star anyways. What were we talking about though? Oh, Deontay Brown. So Deontay Brown, I thought he was a pretty good player at Bama. Like I thought he was pretty good. I thought he had some good moments, more of a run blocker than he was a pass blocker. He was a little bit barrel chested, probably a little bit too heavy. But there were some good things. There was some good tape out there. But golly, you listen to some of the folks, it's like, golly, this guy's the greatest player of all time. He's the next John Hanna.
He's Nate Newton.
I just
was he not the one that they had the picture of in the bowl game where he's like in his past stance and everybody's like, this is the ideal male body or whatever? Was that not him?
I don't remember. Man, that feels like Chance Warmack with the belly out.
No, it was after Chance. I think it was Deontay Brown. If not, somebody of his stature. I'll say that.
Well, I thought Deontay Brown was a good player. I thought he was a solid player, but I always thought he was a little bit hyped up, and I never understood, man, he's not going to be the guy that's all of a sudden going to turn this run game into, the run game of old. Like he was a good player, solid player. I actually quite liked him. I just don't remember what years he was there.
What do you think they graded this right here? Slide protection, he's at left guard. Okay. Slide protection, he's at left guard. Now, do they have a little bit of leakage in the A gap? Yeah. But is the quarterback threatened? No.
Well,
that's got to be a minus, right?
Because it's a quick game. I don't like that. I don't like that rep.
I don't love the rep, but is it a minus?
I mean, it's not a plus.
Which is fine, but is it a minus?
No, it's not a minus.
Okay. Here we go.
I think he's a fine player.
Pass rep 2. Got a 1 technique, inside shoulder, gives a little inside move, help from the center. Nothing. You think that's a minus? Got to be. All right, we're 2 reps in now, and I have no minuses. We only get to 23 reps.
But
that's all we get to.
But can we just for a moment, do we like the pass set there?
Are you PFF today?
I'm just saying. I'm like, if I have to be the O-line guy that sees it just a little bit better.
See, there's a difference between.
See, now Cole's on O-line defense mode.
That's fine.
O-line defense mode.
When you grade someone a 1.5, you damn right I'm going to defend it. There's a difference, like I said before, to get to a 1.5, there's going to have to be a lot of subtractions, not non-pluses. What's a non-plus? An even? Not evens, not a nothings.
Neutrals,
not a neutral. It's not that. You have to go backwards. Like we got assignment. We got technique and we got effort grade on every play. So it will take one of those 3. And
how's the effort on the second rep?
It didn't look bad. I don't think he's not getting minus on that.
Even no finish.
He's across the center's face.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here for a moment. Like I got no problem.
It's not a minus. Oh, wait. Pass rep 3, Greg. Even you, who's going full PFF today at left guard, what do we think?
That's a win.
We're 23 in and we don't have a loss. We're 3 out of 23 in and we don't have a loss.
No finish though.
We're 1.5.
Where's my finish?
I felt like you had to finish on that play.
Says Cole, the guy will literally whiff a guy, but run down field and crush somebody on top of the pile, clean up the pile. And Cole's like, that I like that guy.
I do like the guy. What
about the whiff he had in the pass set? Like, I know he cleaned up the pile and I respect that, but if a guy throws a guy into the stands after the whistle, Cole loves him.
See, here's the fun. This is where it gets fun now. You ready?
Yeah, let's see it.
4th pass rep. I'm just going to, you tell me what you think.
All right. Well, I mean, he's got to let the center's got to kick him out. Like that's okay, really bad on the twist.
What's the center doing though?
The center's trying to pick up,
he's trying to trade behind him.
He's trying to trade. Is the center trying to get to the mic?
That center's not. Yeah, but the center's not bumping him off.
Well, the center's got to bump him off.
That's Cole's fault right there, and I'll tell him straight up, and I bet he would tell you.
Yeah. Well,
you don't try to bump a guy off and switch for a twist, Greg, and then realize you got to come off your guard and go get him. That's not. He's trying to come out. That's a well-timed blitz. It is. What's Greg Williams? This is what I told you about some of their protection stuff is a little bit different. Like I think sometimes they get locked in man situations and the center has to handle that. Anyway, that's for another day. What are we, 4 or 5 reps in, John? 4 or 5 do we just count out there? 4
to say, based on what we've seen, granted, one rep.
We got 16 to go, or what? 19 to go?
Oh, but we've only been through a few now.
He's going to have to start getting run over.
Haven't been that bad. I like Deontay Brown as a player.
This is not about Deontay Brown at all.
It's about PFF.
I want people to understand this has nothing to do with Deontay Brown. I think he's a fine player.
You're defending him. So if anything, it's a positive.
100%. Which is why I tweeted what I tweeted last night. That can't be said based on FCC guidelines here on the air. Do you kind of screen as a pass play? Where are you on this one?
All right.
Screenplay. Magoo drops back. He gets out on the screen.
Oh, we don't love that.
Tripped up a little bit.
A little bit.
He gets leg whipped by the DN.
Yeah, I mean, he does get kamikazed by the guy that is coming in to try to save a life.
You can't give that a minus. You can't.
I can't give it a plus.
But you can't give it a minus.
I wouldn't give it a minus. I'd give it a neutral.
This isn't true false.
There's 3 options.
Right. And neutral can be 5. So once again, if you're getting to a 1.5, that means he also failed on his assignment.
Is that one closer to a minus or is that one closer to a plus?
First off, the assignment's a plus. He's fine. He didn't run the wrong way. He went out on the screen.
Avoiding contact on the screen, getting out is one of the biggest keys.
You saw how fast that DM was coming.
I don't care. I'm just looking at it from a different perspective. If you went into a grading,
now you want us to be
mood,
Jackie Joyner-Kersey on our way out for a screen.
It'd be nice. Hurdles? Hey, it is pro ball after all. Is this pro ball? I didn't know we were grading middle school.
I didn't know you.
Little Johnny gave some effort.
I didn't know you watched film this way. It's been a while since we sat in and watched some film together, but I didn't know every play was bad in your brain. I didn't know that.
No, if every play doesn't score,
who's good? Who's good?
Who's good?
Who's a good player? Because I want to go watch their film. By God.
Who
exactly.
We're talking about offensive lineman.
I don't care the position, any team, any level. Just give me a good player in your mind.
Perfect. I got a million of them. If you want to take every position, every receiver is good for the most part, other than guys that don't get their depths and that don't. They're easy to watch. Offensive linemen, they're naturally going to skew bad because you don't notice the good as much as you notice the bad. Fair. So I don't mean it negatively. We're watching offensive linemen right now.
Oh, hold on a second. Here. We got
Quentin Nelson was pretty good.
Hold on a second.
He's fine. No finish.
I don't love the effort. I don't love the finish. But you're not just grading. Did you place 5 seconds past the whistle? It's not the only thing.
You want to see a minus? How about the quarterback footwork? You want to talk a minus of the year? You're 9 yards deep. Slide right. Good throw.
You know, yeah. If I was a quarterback, you know what I'd say? Did I complete it, coach?
Yeah, that's good. Do it again.
No, it didn't. It didn't happen a whole lot. But that was not a minus, correct?
No, that's not a minus.
Assignment a plus.
Effort could be a minus.
The effort could definitely be better.
So
we
it's
could
a
probably say
neutral.
that on almost every play. It's
plus.
a passing grade.
Yeah, he's passing on 2 of the 3 categories.
Which is a passing grade. Trust me,
Correct.
As someone who needed to find a way to just get to passing grades often, I know what it takes to just get to passing grades.
66.67 is not a passing grade.
A neighborhood you've never lived in. I actually have camped out there on many a night.
Technically, 66.67 is below passing. Passing is 70.
When you round up and your teachers help you a little bit, you pass.
Do the extra credit.
There you go.
I don't think anything that I've seen so far looks that bad.
Here's another pass play, Greg.
That's a win.
What are we on, 6, John?
Is that an
7?
RPO?
7?
That's 7 now.
I don't think so because none of the linemen were going downfield. It looks like it though.
Looked like he was going up and inside.
It did look a little.
So it could be minus on the assignment there.
Because
I don't know
because they know the assignment.
I have no idea. I don't know.
There's a part.
I'm just saying. I don't know.
How does PFF grade assignments when you don't know it? You don't know what the center called. You don't know what the quarterback's checking to. Hold on a second. Is this a pass play? That's a pass play. And where are we? Do I love the effort? No.
The effort's terrible.
The effort's not great, but you can't grade a guy just on finishing effort.
Yes, you can.
When he's getting the job done.
Yes, you can.
No,
the most important thing is assignment. Second most important thing is effort. I don't care about technique.
John, what did he just say the most important part was?
Assignment.
How many did he blow in the 7 that we've watched?
Well, he might have blown the RPO. We don't know.
He got his guy blocked. At the end of the day, also, you know what did you get guy blocked? Yes, did. Therefore, it can't be a minus. I don't care if you kicked him between the legs, grabbed his face mask, and fell down. If there was no penalty and your quarterback didn't get hit, it's not a minus. Technique, it would be. But overall, not a minus.
Effort on that rep.
Actually, plus.
Yeah. Double plus.
Creativity,
you're in the
pluses.
bonus. By any means necessary grade. I'm with you. I've seen nothing that is too egregious to the point would warrant a 1.5 rating. I don't know what a 1.5 is
That's
to
the
begin
point.
with.
We don't know. We don't even know.
I told you
know what?
earlier.
You said a very good word there. Is it a rating?
I don't know.
Is it a grade?
I don't know.
Is it a success
What's
rate?
it on a scale of to 100?
Nobody knows.
Well, I do know this. I do know like the lowest grade I ever saw was like an 84.
Yeah.
And it was an awful
I think
game.
I saw like a 78 one time.
Okay, like
And
that's bad.
It was really bad.
I guess, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't
Like
realize
Greg's
how
saying,
bad
that was by far like one of the worst individual performances I had seen. Like I think the guy had the flu and was trying to play and like just literally couldn't move. Not that Trickett would have cared, but
yeah, I mean it's bad. Well, first of all, you're
first I'll puke it out, then go.
unless you as a quarterback, unless you quite literally go the wrong direction on a run play, which by the way happens more than you like.
It'll
It happens
up.
more than you want to know. Then you're not getting a minus in the run game unless you just have a terrible check. Now, checks were my nail. That was a grade saver. It was like, oh, I can do addition. I'm terrible at division, but I can do addition. That's what run game was. It was easy. It was 1 + 1 =
Numbers
2.
game.
It's fine. It's a numbers game. But the passing grades, when you get technique, decision, and execution, we also got bonuses for like great plays.
Yeah.
And or terrible plays. So
No, and because there are plays that you do things past your assignment.
Mhm.
Like we had like a corner crash one time that was not in our protection realm, and because I was able to get out and like go get like nudge the guy past the quarterback, that was like a plus.
Yeah.
Just kind of like you call it like an intangible play.
Yes.
You get extra pluses
Correct.
for that.
Yep. And I remember like one time I made such a bad play. Coach McElroy said, "How many minuses can you fit in that box?" Because we had to grade ourselves, and we compared our grades to his grades. How many minuses fits in that box? I was like, I don't know, Coach. He goes, start filling it up. Like had to count. I was like, 27 minuses. Perfect. We'll factor that into the grade. I go, no, you won't. He goes, hey, no, I won't. But you get the point.
Yeah.
I said, what about the touchdown pass? How many pluses can I fit in that box? And he goes, try it. I go, 4. Dang it. You got me.
Spring weather in Alabama can be as unpredictable as PFF grades. That's why you need the reliability of a Train, voted America's most trusted HVAC brand. Right now, you can receive a 10-year warranty on parts and labor on select Train comfort systems. Find out more at Train.com. Remember, it's hard to stop a Train. Louis DeArmond tweeting in something that maybe we should take into consideration on this. We'll discuss it when we come back next on Mac and Cube in the morning. Welcome back. Get McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 800-239-9569. You call in, let us know if you hated the last segment. Because some people did.
Uh-oh. Who's mad?
Uncle Kirk tweets in, I'm going to have to give this segment a 1.5. Is there nothing else in the wide world of sports we can talk about?
No. Ovechkin scored his 891st goal.
4 away? Is that right?
4 away.
Don, cue the music.
All right, hold on.
He didn't have it ready.
We didn't expect him to.
No. I would never expect him to do that. But I would say this. Jokic 60-point triple-double last night. 61.
That?
61.
Well, it's the third 60-point triple-double in history.
He lost.
Curry had 52 last night.
Is 50 the new 30?
No.
Why?
120 is the new 90, though.
Oh, you're talking about team.
Yeah. Just
what is that?
In general.
NBA team?
Yeah, it's not there. Greg, how do you think...
I didn't see anything about the Nuggets on the front page of the of ESPN.
What do you think about 3 1 seeds making it to the Final Four?
4 1 seeds made it to the Final Four.
No, actually 3. Texas, South Carolina, and UCLA.
Oh, and the ladies.
Yeah, let's break that down.
UConn made it.
A 2 seed.
Yes, and USC was disrespected because UConn was in their bracket. Remember that?
The do.
It's a big talking point.
Who you like, South
Birmingham
Carolina or
hosted.
Texas?
I will say this: Birmingham hosted, and we were at Monster Jam on Saturday.
Congrats.
Naturally,
rub it in.
Brag about it. What a treat to see Zombie in real life, and or Dinosaurus, Rex or whatever. And what's the other one?
Gravedigger?
El Pollo Loco.
El Toro Loco.
El Toro Loco.
Do you even play with your kids' monster trucks?
No, we don't. We're not a monster truck family. We like them. We don't love them. We're not all in. But anyways, I'm getting a visit. We were at Southern beforehand. Free drop rather. Didn't get anything in return, by the way. Had to pay for all
I
our
thought
beers.
that was just all of it, like where we were.
Yeah.
Southern.
We were at Southern beforehand, and there's a ton of folks. I thought it was super cool. And I know that it's been met with a little bit of resistance, but it was super cool to have 2 places hosting regionals as opposed to 4 hosting regionals. So Birmingham, of course, hosted. The other one was in Spokane, Washington. But in the Sweet 16, you had 8 teams that were here in Birmingham. And then in Spokane, there were 8 teams out there, which means 2 regional finals, 2 Final Four tickets were punched here at the BJCC. That to me is awesome. I wish that they would do that just for the interaction with the fan bases. I know it might be a heavy lift with the amount of fans that go and consume those games, but I thought that was pretty cool that we were able to do that. I had no idea. I knew we were hosting. I didn't know we were hosting 2 regionals though.
Yeah, I don't really care either way. But I did want to also say that I think for Uncle Kirk, we should get into, for the 23rd consecutive year, the pimento cheese sandwich is going to be $1.50 at Augusta National.
$1.50? Mm-hmm. What about inflation?
2002, it went from $1.25 to $1.50. It was $1 in 1997.
That's a whole bunch.
Is that what he wants us to get into?
That's next week's fodder.
Got it.
What about...
Should we talk basketball transfer portal?
No, we can talk... You know what we can talk about? San Antonio, the golf tournament this week. Akshay Bhatia is trying to...
Spurs. Is Wembanyama coming back?
Not this year. No. Akshay Bhatia trying to defend in San Antonio this week.
Like the cup shaped like an octagon? What are we doing?
What?
Spurs not going to make the playoffs.
Okay, what else do we have going on right now? We need to be weather aware on Sunday. Saw that. I've been talking about these Sunday storms.
Tush push is not going to happen.
Tush push
tabled.
Yes.
Tush push tabled.
No vote. Voteless.
Not going to do it.
Voteless Joe Jackson on the tush push.
Let's break it down.
I actually...
What does PFF grade all tush pushes combined?
Got to be a minus. No effort. Assignment. They busted that assignment.
The play's too quick. I can't give you a plus.
No, can't. I can't see if you're winning. Honestly, though, can we just for a moment talk about how dumb the tush push is and how badly it needs to go?
Sure. The floor is yours. They obviously don't like hearing me talk about things, so take it away.
I hate it. Do you like it? Oh,
I don't care.
It's brute strength. It's mono. I love it. No, you don't. It's lame.
I do think it's dumb.
It's so dumb. Thank you. Yes. And there's nothing worse.
There's also a part of me, Greg, that thinks it's dumb to ban a play because it works.
Because it requires absolutely no creativity.
Okay, but that's fine. Come up with a different reason that it's not safe. It's like Jeffrey Lurie was saying yesterday. Like, where are the studies that have shown all the injuries?
Well, I know one. Patrick Mahomes got hurt, dislocated his kneecap. That was kind of a bad one.
I think that's working against the argument a little bit there. I don't think the teams that are successful with it on offense want it to go away. I think it's more of a defensive mentality that wants it gone.
That's true. I definitely want it to go away. But here's the other thing I would say. What was also automatic they made adjustments to?
Extra point
from the tee.
Make them kickers pay.
Yeah, take it back to the 35. Let's see how mentally tough they are now.
It's fair. They have started missing some.
Yeah, they miss some, and it adds a little bit of flair. Like, I'm not saying I'm hanging at the end of my seat.
I think flair might be a stretch.
Well, we score a touchdown. Whatever team I might be cheering for at the moment, whoever Vince is in favor of, usually. Who are we cheering for? Not Carolina. They stink.
In my house, a lot of times it depends on the score.
100%. Ours too. Who do you want to win? The black team. Are they the Saints? Yes. Well, I don't want them to win. I'll take the other team. Yeah, because they're down by 37. But you really look at it, I personally don't like things that are automatic. Like, things that are automatic we need to do away with. The torpedo bats. Get rid of them. We don't have time for them.
Really? You must have missed the Yankees' loss to the Diamondbacks last night.
By the way, you saw Marucci has sold more torpedo bats in the last 24 hours. It's the best 24 hours in the history of Marucci bats.
That's not really a surprise.
Not a surprise. But, like, if things are working too well, we got to get rid of them. Like,
you know what? You make a great point. The cream and the clear.
What? What?
Steroids in baseball.
Oh.
The guys hitting too many home runs. Got to get them out.
Yeah. Exactly. Get rid of the steroids. Get it out. All right.
Ruined.
Right now, as they're talking about in golf, they're talking about rolling back the ball. It's been a hot topic of conversation this week. It's going to affect pros more than it's going to affect amateurs. They're going to lose 5 to 10% of the distance on their drive. So guys will no longer be hitting at 350. They'll now be hitting at 310. The longest hitters on tour and the average hitter on tour will go from 305 to 290. So they're talking about that. Now, that's one I can't get on board with.
Who's talking about that?
A lot of people are talking about that.
I've not heard a single person.
It is a lot. It is a hot. Well, you got to change your algorithm.
So it's the ball?
Yeah. Well, it's the ball and the equipment and the players. They swing it faster. And the training. And we actually have athletes playing golf now. Imagine that.
Oh, you're telling me Lee Trevino wasn't an athlete?
He's had good hand-eye. And don't you talk about Lee Trevino like that. I'm friends with his son-in-law. Very close friends.
He was
actually
an all-time great.
Yeah, he was.
You just said he wasn't an athlete.
No,
I didn't say it.
He had a great hobby.
Oh, he got rich on his hobby.
Heck yeah. It's great. I love Lee Trevino.
Aaron Judge's torpedo bat was 0 for 4 last night. So was Jazz Chisholm's.
What
I
else?
think it's time to ban them just yet.
I think it's time to go. It's time for them to go.
To break?
How mad are they? How mad are they if they ordered a torpedo bat yesterday because of the Yankees' success early this season?
And then they got over
and then they had the worst hitting of the year. It's like, I just spent $190 on a torpedo bat. By the way,
ooh, I bet they're more than
who's buying? No, they're not. I already checked them. Between 160
trying to
and
get
190.
Vince a T-ball Mariucci torpedo?
I thought, hey, for fungo, maybe I need a torpedo bat. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if I'm going to hit some ground balls to some kindergartners, like maybe I need a torpedo bat. Like, I need some pop.
189, 169, 169.
That could have saved you the
what's
click.
The 189 Francisco Lindor do for you? Like, what's different about that one?
Signed.
That's stupid because it's not even really signed.
Yeah, but it's laser. It's the same way. The same way things were signed in the Oval Office the last couple of years. Laser signed.
There's 3 different types of torpedo barrels. Also,
I'm aware. I did the whole deep dive yesterday.
Sweet.
So I started thinking to myself, like, I need to know what the technology is on this thing that like makes it unique. And I understand the shape is different. It looks like a bowling pin. It actually increases the actual mass on the sweet spot. It makes the bat slightly lighter without impacting, because you're not going to hit it. These are pros. They're not going to hit off the end of the bat very often. I mean, it happens, but it's usually in a defensive swing. So it made a lot of sense. Like, the technology makes sense to me. But then again, the amount of people that are all of a sudden flocking to him, like how the heck, who's buying these things? Like, do people have wooden bat tournaments all the time? I know I played in one or two.
That is a good point. I'm sure like every minor league kid all of a sudden's like, we got to get one of those in now.
Yeah,
but
probably.
You know what? You were perfect for Uncle Kirk here in this segment because he didn't like us talking about PFF and what else in the world of sports could we talk about? Golf balls, torpedo bats. We didn't get to WNBA draft. We'll get to that next. McDonald's All-American game last night. We can hit that if y'all need to. And you had everything. You had stimp meter, golf ball spin, torpedo bat price. This is why you're here. This is why you're a pro.
I'm a Renaissance man when it comes to dumb
Kurt
things.
Gets mad at us talking about things that bother us. You got 17 other things to go to.
17 things to go to right there, right off the top.
Bam,
all of
bam,
which
bam.
Totally useless. We did 2 regionals in basketball. 2
Monster
regional
Jam?
sites. We did Monster Jam. We did the Southern.
60-point triple doubles.
61.
You're not understanding that phrasing. There have been 3 60-point triple doubles ever.
Are you worried about the Bucks after their 4-game losing streak, even though they won last night against the Suns?
Tampa Bay played last night? All right, we'll be back right after this. I have an update on the Deontay Brown situation.
Oh, boy. Ayo.
Even better, I've gotten to the last 2 pass reps of the Stallions game. They rotated at left guard.
Yeah.
So he didn't even get 23 pass reps in. And we've already been through 7 that weren't minuses.
Does that defend?
Not at all.
I don't know. I do think that might defend the grade more so. Because he was actually getting rolled.
They did have a play action on short yardage where he gave up some leakage inside, so that would have been a minus. Oh, no, actually, you know what? He wasn't in the game on that. Maybe they thought that the other guy in was him.
Maybe. But don't you think, I know we kind of talked about it.
The reason I brought that up is because we had already gotten through 7 plays that were not minuses per se.
Yeah.
And we're only going to 23, and I'm 4 more plays in, and he's not in. I think he's going to come back here on the 5th play.
Okay.
So your opportunities of getting this thing down to a 1.5 are dwindling.
Yeah. Sounds like it, by the way. I don't think it's getting there. An observation that I made this morning. It was.
Is this you going back to other things in the world of sports?
Yes, I'm trying to provide Kyle with whatever.
Well, hold on one second. There's a reason that Auburn Athletics hand-selected Andrew Sports Medicine's Dr. Benton Emblem and Dr. Charles Pitts to serve as their team physicians. They provide the highest quality sports medicine care and effort to keep the Tiger student-athletes safe. You know they'll be busy this week. Healthy and competing at the highest level. If Andrew Sports Medicine choice for Auburn, no doubt they should be your family's number one choice for sports medicine and orthopedic care. They've worked on my family members. They've worked on me too many times. Andrew Sports Medicine, 7 locations across Central Alabama from Birmingham, Coleman, Garndale, Hoover, Pelham, Trussville. They offer same-day, next-day appointments, acute sports injuries. Visit AndrewSportsMedicine.com today to begin your journey of achieving victory over injury. Go ahead. Sorry.
I noticed this yesterday. Well, I noticed it this morning, actually. I've been waking up pretty early. That's not like a humble brag or anything, but.
The dew hurt your roll rate on the driving range this morning?
Yeah, this morning. Yeah, I was out there at 5A, just grinding, crushing balls. No, I wasn't doing that. But I've been waking up at 5 and going and getting workout in and trying to get back into the groove. After spring break, I mean, we all got a little sloppy on spring break and just, it's time to tighten things up a little bit, the guy on the scale's like, all right, time to get it going. So it was all the motivation. Yeah, might need a sweat or 2 or 17 in a row. Anyways, in the process of cleaning things up, and so far so good, 3 days in. But this morning, 5A, I get a knock on our door.
But that is not normal.
5:11.
You better be bringing something good.
I got a little nervous. I was like, I didn't know what was going on. Like, did the dog get out? I didn't know. 5:11.
That might not be a hands-free visit to the door, by the way.
No, it was a little panic mode. Like, definitely little, peek around the corner. I'm making my smoothie in the kitchen. Just wanted to make sure that everything's, on the up and up. And sure enough, it's an Amazon package.
Whoa.
5:11 a.m. 5:11 a.m.
We always talk about this sometimes. Like, certain people in life, do you tip or not tip? I've never tipped like a delivery person.
I would tip that guy.
For like mail or that. Like, I might have gone and found some cash and given it to him, being like, dude, just for being up and going that early.
100%.
Now, you didn't need to knock on the door for it. You could have just put it down.
I think, I don't know. I'm still a little surprised why there was a knock on the door, but that's beside the point. I think it was virtue signaling on his part. Like, hey, I'm here early.
Just want y'all to know.
Just want you to know. Dad's at work. That's what he was saying.
Are you up?
Hey,
I am.
I'm up. Come get it if you want it. Anyways, that's pretty
amazing.
Maybe he
thought it was like something that the kids were going to need before school. That your wife ordered. He's like, hey, I just want to make sure y'all had this.
Yeah, I think
which would be even double tip.
I think it's literally 24 Rawlings baseballs. Like, I don't even know what it is. Like, I have no clue.
Maybe if they had the big game, they need BP before.
Yeah, maybe so. But isn't that amazing?
How much does 24 Rawlings baseballs cost? I have no idea.
$39.
But that's it?
Yeah.
That feels like a steal.
It's very much a steal.
Thankfully, Pat Smith gave me like a giant bag of baseballs, and we will never be out of
They might be the worst. It might be the worst baseballs ever, but they're functional. Like, you can hit them and throw them. They're terrible, though.
Are they the kind that feel like synthetic?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're the worst.
Every time one of those ends up one of my kids' bags, I literally throw it over the fence of our yard.
Yeah.
I'm like, get that out of here.
I need the leather. Give me the Boddens.
I gotta smell it.
Yeah. No, I mean,
did you also order the Mississippi mud to rub into your new baseballs?
No, come on, we're not that crazy. I don't do that on footballs. Do not do that on baseballs. Baseballs get lost too much. I'm not spending any extra time on that.
Yeah. My kid, this is what makes me mad more than anything. My kids will leave the baseballs out in the yard and then it'll rain. I'm like,
Dead.
you guys know this is a pound heavier now,
Mhm.
and you're still hitting it. By God, we're throwing with it.
Yeah, guess what? You're going to throw with it, and your arms going to get stronger from it too. Don't worry about that Tommy John, son. We need that.
Heavy ball.
That's
time.
gonna make your arm stronger. You don't realize it now, but you're gonna thank me later once you've gone through 2 surgeries. But I really am. I'm kind of amazed at where we've now gotten to from a logistic standpoint. I remember how mind blown I was when Amazon first started doing 2-day delivery. And then when I moved to Charlotte, 2-day delivery. And when we moved to Charlotte, Dallas got 1-day delivery. I was like, what?
Greg, the stuff that my wife and I discussed that we need, and she'll sit there and pick up her phone. She's like, it can be here by 8 tomorrow. I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
8 a.m. or p.m.?
A.m.
Yeah, that was our guy today.
And she's like, we can have it by 10:30 tomorrow. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Where do they even get that?
No.
She's
It's
like, oh no,
unbelievable.
she's like Amazon.
It's unbelievable.
And then she gets mad at me when I want to go to the store and look for things. She's like, why? I can get it at Amazon.
Oh, 100%. That's my wife, too.
But I can also go look for it in the store like a real person would do.
The only store my wife likes going to is Target. The only store. Now, she likes going to the boutiques and buying local and all that stuff, right?
I'm just throwing this out there. This is based on conversations I've had. Not a conversation actually about this, but the back and forth. I think they like going to Target only because there's things at Target that are not on Amazon.
Like what?
I don't know the answer to that.
Starbucks.
Yeah, but you can just have Starbucks delivered. You can DoorDash it.
Red Ices.
Trust me, Jordan Rogers does
White
it for
cherry.
like 7 Super Grande Americanos every week.
Seriously, like what is it Target that you can get on Amazon?
No, I think there are brand name things that are like Target exclusives.
Magnolia Home. Oh, Chip and Joanna. Get out of here. It's Farmhouse.
You are on one today.
I don't care
I
anymore.
love it.
You started with PFF. You got me in the mood early,
Good.
and now I'm in a bad mood.
Yeah, because Kurt needs other things for us to talk about. And we have run the gauntlet on that, and we'll do even more of it next. Before we completely move on from the PFF Deontay Brown situation, I did want to get to one Louis DeArmond question that he asked, because I thought it's pretty intriguing, by the way. Tweet into the show at Mac and Cube. Call in to tell us how bad the segments are. 800-239-9569. Also, have you guys seen this cruise ship that was dealing with big waves?
No.
You want to talk about pure terror?
I can't watch stuff like that. It stresses me out too much. That and heights
Greg,
really freaks me out.
There's windows on the front of the ship. Look at this. Really quick. Hold on. I might have to go back. Look, there's waves over people's windows to their rooms. Look at this. The front goes down below the wave. The front of a cruise ship.
Yeah, you can have that.
What, do you just go to your room and pray?
I know what I'm not doing.
What?
I'm not.
I love this lady
standing next to any
the corner
windows.
video in this. Yeah, like it's when those windows give. Then what? The ladies they're all falling down in the aisles. And people ask me why I don't want to take my kids on a cruise. I'm going to send them that video right there.
It's entirely too stressful. You can have it.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Gusty Goulis and the Gusty Goulis group, they're going to get you into a new home instead of going on a cruise. It's going to be better value, better investment. Call the Gusty Goulis group today, brokered by eXp Realty at 205-542-1996. Google Gusty Goulis Group. You'll see over 835-star Google reviews. Serve more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. Since 2012, Gusty Goulis Group recognized nationally, locally as Greater Birmingham, Alabama's #1 team in homes sold. Go to GustyGoulisGroup.com today. Call 205-542-1996 and start packing. Interesting thought here, just quickly. Louis DeArmond tweets in, does your grade start at 0 and go up? Does it start at 100 and go down? No one knows.
It starts at 50 and goes up or down based on the performance.
See, I feel like this is kind of one of those how you view the world, no one could ever really be right questions. It's a great question into the show because honestly, I don't know. Like if you're, and my mom's a teacher, I guess I should text her and ask her, like when your test goes on the page, do you have 100 or do you have a 0? I assume it's a 0 because nothing's filled out, right? So if you just gave it back, it's a 0.
Yeah, sounds right.
So you're working your way up?
Thereabouts, yeah.
So the man's been holding us down this whole time.
The whole time.
Forcing us to constantly dig ourselves out of a ditch.
Confirm.
That doesn't seem right.
Doesn't seem right at all. But I am.
Also, I bet the new generation looks at this. No, it's 100, man. Like, we just got it. What are you talking about? And our grandfather would be like, it's a 0.
Is a 0.
So you write something down.
Proven otherwise.
You got to fight for your F and your D.
Well, I don't understand. I don't.
Why is offensive line coach voice our go-to on everything?
Because offensive line coach voice is the best. Because it's gruff, it's southern, it's strong, it's angry, it's everything. It covers so many different categories.
I think every offensive line coach in America is from the South, from Jersey, or from the Midwest. That's it. You can't be from anywhere else.
No. There's no California-based offensive line coaches.
And when South includes Texas in that.
Correct.
There's not like a offensive line coach from Washington.
No.
Or like Nevada.
Absolutely not.
Oh, hey, coach, where did you grow up in Tahoe? No, son.
Absolutely not.
I grew up on the farm in Iowa. Seriously, though, John, how do you answer that question? Do you start a grade at 0 or 100? Damian, tweet that out on the poll question, please.
A PFF or a test
No,
grade?
you. Your personal brain. How does that operate?
It's got to be 0. You got to accumulate points. You aren't given 100 points. You have to prove that you know things by getting them right.
I kind of agree with you, but I also feel like, so you're telling me I'm a 0?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know how to answer that.
I don't know. I think in school, you started 100.
Do you?
Yes.
I don't feel like I did.
Well, that's not surprising.
I guess when you hardly ever get there, it's hard to imagine you were there at one point.
That's. I feel like you started 100 in school, but
it makes me feel a lot worse about my academic prowess.
It does adjust a little bit, for sure.
If you started at 100, man, you got a lot wrong.
It's true. It's hard to argue with that.
I'd rather be the guy that started at 0 and Worked a little bit further
Earned
up.
his way.
I was grinding. My 67 and a half.
That is like
was
kind
earned.
of that's like a philosophical question. I
It's-
kind of
think
like
it's
it.
like a life view, just like flat Earth. It's the same thing.
Oh boy.
Back with more Mac and Cube next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Hour number 2 getting underway. Jay Tate's going to hop on the Higginbotham hotline here in just a moment. We will talk Auburn spring football and obviously Final Four as things come into picture. Follow up a little bit on our Jackson Arnold conversation from yesterday with Jay Tate and just get some of his thoughts. First, Greg, I feel like first hour of the show made it to the floor of possible grades. But if you're looking to get a new floor in your home, Shannara Flooring can help you.
Shannara Flooring's the best. They'll take great care of you. You will appreciate very much everything that you experience when you go and deal with Fu and his incredible group of professional stars. Absolutely love these folks. They've done a great job taking care of people in this community for a very long time, and they have 40,000 square feet of CoreTech flooring by Shaw in stock right now. They're the only company in the community that has that. So you can go and check out these beautiful waterproof, kid-proof, pet-proof floors that will increase the value of your home right now. So highly recommend going and checking out Fu today. You'll be very glad you did. have had a great experience with them, and I know you guys will have a great experience with them as well. So if you're thinking about making some adjustments to your floors, call who? Call Foo. Call them at 205-518-6423 or go online at fooandU.com.
All right, let's go to the Higginbotham hotline now. Welcome in Jay Tate. Covers the Auburn Tigers. A lot of different things from an Auburn perspective that we need to talk about. Jay, how you doing this morning?
Hey now, Cole. It's great to be on your phone line again.
Let's start with football because I think we'll probably spend a little bit more time on basketball. But we talked a lot about Jackson Arnold yesterday, just kind of where he was, what he was going through, some things that maybe people didn't see. Give us what you've heard, not just about spring football, but just since he's arrived on campus and how the relationship between he and Hugh Freeze have progressed.
I think it's good. I mean, I think he has a different personality than Peyton, who's kind of a quiet guy, he likes to joke around. Peyton did, but kind of in a quiet way. I think Jackson Arnold's more of what I would call a traditional, like a rah-rah leader, more energy guy. Probably a stronger arm, definitely a stronger arm than Peyton had. And they've been really impressed, specifically with his deep balls. It's something that I didn't think Peyton was great at, although I didn't think he was terrible. But I think Jackson's deep ball has been really good, and he's been giving these wideouts a chance to compete, which is something that maybe didn't happen from a percentage perspective as often as it could have last year. So in general, I think it's going well. It's just hard for me to tell this far out. Listen, man, I mean, the truth is that Auburn needs to finish games in October and November. That's the difference between Auburn being just not very good and being a fine team, and we don't know how they're going to handle that just yet.
Yeah, and it'd be curious to see just how comfortable he is when you look at the offense and the amount of running that Jackson Arnold did down the stretch last year. Is it safe to assume, just based on what they went out and got as far as depth with the recruiting class and with the additional guy that they brought in from Stanford, is it safe to assume he's going to be asked and expected to run an awful lot this year?
I don't know about awful lot, Greg. I mean, I think that he's going to be a factor. He's shown that he can be that guy, and I think Hugh would prefer his quarterback be at least somewhat mobile. But I don't think he's going to be a quarterback attack kind of guy, no. I think it's good to have Ashton Daniels coming in from Stanford, and he does give you some nice backup ideas. And maybe he's something that could be part of the run game also. Ashton could be in time, but no, I think Jackson, they feel like he's the franchise guy, at least right now. And I don't think they would want to put him in that. I don't think he's that good of a runner, I should say. And also Deuce. I mean, think about Deuce Knight. I think they've been really impressed with him as well. So I wouldn't be shocked to see if he had a role this fall as well.
Jay Tate joining us on the Higginbotham hotline talking Auburn Spring. One more football question. So we kind of went through it yesterday. We think the offensive line's got a chance to be better, as good as maybe it's been the last lot of years, possibly. Receiver, there are people saying best receiver room in the SEC. We kind of kicked that around. What's your biggest concern for the offense right now?
Offensive line, I would say. I mean, look, yes, on paper, this looks like the best group they've had probably since the early Gus years, which is really saying something, man. I can't believe it's been this long. I mean, Auburn used to be, and Cole, I mean, it was a great place for offensive linemen for a long, long time. I just wish this group had a Braden Smith. I wish it had somebody that you knew was going to go in there, knock skulls, and be a fearsome guy. I don't necessarily think they have that. I think Connor Lew is a really good center, but, I mean, he's not really fearsome. I don't know. He's not the kind of guy that bites you on your leg and, that kind of a guy. He's kind of a technical guy, and he's a good center. But I just wish I'd saw more road graders and guys that would just punch you in the gut and call you bad names. I would like to see that. I guess I kind of grew up on that, covering Auburn back in the 90s and 2000s.
We are with you on that. I think everybody would completely agree. Do you have anything on Janai Broome, the health, the status? I mean, nobody expects him not to play, but what is the expectation for what Auburn fans are going to get in the Final Four this weekend?
My expectation is that he's definitely going to go, and I think he'll be. If I was going to put a percentage on it, I'd say he's like 90. He'll be 90 at that point. I mean, I think he'll be, quote, fine. I think he's ready to contribute and do a lot of the things that he normally does. It was funny to see him the other day kind of rebounding with one arm. I think he's going to be a lot better than that. Yeah, he's going to be ready to go.
What do you think about just defensively how they could grow and progress this week? Because you look at what they might be facing with a group that is lit it up at times, a guy that, and gosh, one of the best guards we've seen in a long time, one of the best big men we've seen in quite some time as well. I mean, defensively, they struggled the last time they faced the Florida Gators. So how do you think that group will improve to kind of defend this group that's been so tough to defend?
Yeah, Florida's really good. I think this is a personal thing. I don't know if you guys have talked about this very much, but the fact that Todd coached here BP loves Todd, don't get me wrong, but they got embarrassed a little bit, Auburn did, inside Neville Arena. taking a double-digit loss to Florida back, I guess it's been 2 or 3 months ago now. But I think it's personal. I think it's like BP would say, hey, man, we're in a Final Four. We're in a national semifinal here. Over my dead body, are we going to lose to Todd again this season? So I think it's going to be kind of on the coaches really to find out a way to kind of deal with that little half roll that Florida kind of pulled on them, kind of half rolling over those screens is something that they did in the first half of that game and got a huge advantage. Took Auburn a little while to figure that out. So I think Auburn's going to probably come up with some strategic ideas to attack Florida with that they haven't done before. I just feel like it's a personal thing, and this is really going to challenge the coaches to come up with some stuff and get the team ready. At practice yesterday, I don't want to say too much about it because they have rules in place, but the team seemed loose. And I just always love their mentality. I think BP, the best thing about the coaching job he did this year is the way he talks to each player on his own level and understands the psychology of working with kids. You don't just treat everybody the same because that's how you do it. He treats each kid differently because he talks in the way that matters to them. I think he's brilliant at that.
Jay Tate covers Auburn for the Auburn Rival site. You can find him on Twitter at JG Tate. So last one before we go, we kicked around with Andy Burcham yesterday, and we kind of talked about it too. Like, could you make the argument Dylan Cardwell has been the MVP of this tournament? Talked about Todd Pettiford kind of owning his role at times, how Denver Jones has stepped up big in certain moments. Outside of Broome, just in this Final Four, based on what's already taken place, who's the most important player for Bruce Pearl?
I would say that it's Todd, and I don't mean to poop on Dylan because I think Dylan's awesome too. The distance that he's traveled from his freshman year until now is immense. He helps them in so many different ways, just altering shots, blocking shots, playing defense. It's unbelievable what he's done. However, I think Todd, his quickness, I think he's the second best player on the team. I think he comes in, I like to call him on my stream an auger. He just kind of gets things cranking because he's so quick, and he's audacious. I mean, he takes risks with the ball that I think a lot of kids wouldn't even think to take. He can actually get it done a lot of times. He's so inventive with the ball in his hands. I think he's just an absolute stud, and I think he's a big reason why they've been able to kind of surge here late in the season and get this done, get to the Final Four. He's so critical.
Absolutely. Jay, great stuff. Thanks for hopping on with us, man. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the Final Four. Look forward to catching up soon.
Yes, sir. See ya.
JG Tate with the Auburn Rival site joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. We have Mike DeCourcy, who covers college basketball, going to be with us this hour. He's flying from Chicago to San Antonio. He's got a connection, so don't want to give the exact time, but we're hoping to have him in the next segment or the next segment. Depends on when he lands. We'll talk a little more Final Four. Nick De La Torre is going to talk for the Florida side of things and Florida Spring as they had their first scrimmage yesterday at 9 o'clock. More college football talk coming up as well next right here on Mac and Cube in the morning. A little bit of Major League Baseball news and notes since we spent time on torpedo bats earlier. Dodgers over the Braves yesterday, 3-1.
Oh, no.
Braves 0-6. Dodgers 7-0.
Dang it.
The Yankees go down to the Diamondbacks yesterday. They fall to 3-1. Diamondbacks 3-2. And the Padres take out the Guardians 7-0. Padres are 6-0. Jackson Merrill homers yesterday, and today gets a 9-year, $135 million extension. So it's been a good couple of days there in San Diego. But your Dodgers are rolling.
Oops. So he's also rolling the deals at Bill Smith Buick GMC. Really amazing what they can do for you. Just go up and take a look at it for sure. You'll see what I'm talking about. You take a short drive to Coleman. Go check it out. They have incredible deals all over the lot. Things that can absolutely blow you away, like taking $13,000 off the sticker price of a brand new GMC Sierra 1500 SLT loaded with leather. They can get you for under $53,000. You won't find that deal anywhere else. That's why they have 75% of their customers that return to buy another vehicle from them when they originally shop with Bill Smith Buick. Take short drive to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. You can also shop online. Have delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
Also, Buzz Williams going to go to Maryland. So Texas A&M is going to be looking for a basketball coach.
Think they'll pony up?
I don't think that's going to be a problem. Jeff Goodman yesterday tweeting out that Chris Beard will be on that list and towards the top of that list.
So he will have been potentially the head coach at Texas Tech, Texas, and Texas A&M. Not a lot of people could say that.
No. Texas State, you're on deck.
Well, take that back. Who's the baseball coach at Texas now? Sloss Nagle or whatever?
Yeah.
TCU?
Yeah, wasn't at Tech, though.
He's got two of the three.
The different Texas trifecta.
Yes, two of the three.
But I do wonder.
TCU, Texas A&M, Texas is pretty good, though, too, though.
No doubt.
Not
do
bad.
you think that this was kind of a mutual parting, so to speak?
I think it's a little bit like we've talked about how many times with the coaches. Now, I think Buzz Williams did a pretty good job this year, right? I think everyone would admit that A&M was a good team, but he'd been there a while. It's another way to extend the clock. You know, hey, if I can get 8 more years now out of this career, out of this profession, I'll do that. The SEC is really good. Maryland's had some pretty good tradition as it relates to basketball. I think it makes some sense.
The restarting the clock, I think, probably makes more sense than anything else.
100%.
And because there are a lot of folks that are looking at what was A&M not going to do for you? What was A&M not offering up? Where did A&M not sort of show up? And I don't know if that's necessarily what the issue was. I think that you got a new athletic director in that didn't bring you in. Maybe you guys don't see eye to eye on certain things. So you kind of start to peek around a little bit. And if you're hearing from people that, hey, he doesn't like the way you do this, he's not the biggest fan of how you operate here, then, yeah, you start to explore or have your people explore some other options. It's not crazy. But, you know, maybe a little bit surprising from the standpoint of it wasn't going poorly, I don't think. I don't think people look at it and say he was failing. And are you going to do a lot better? Now, some people say Chris Beard. Yeah. I mean, you hear what Patino said about Chris Beard earlier in the year. That if he was in Indiana, he'd go hire that guy right now. There's nobody else would be on my list.
Yeah.
So you know what certain coaches think about him.
He's good.
You wonder also, you know, if it didn't work there that way, what's going to be next for you?
Yeah.
How's it going to go? I don't know.
I will be curious, though. It will be very interesting to see how it all unfolds. And I'm pretty intrigued by kind of where things are and how things could happen with the coaching basketball or the coaching carousel in basketball, because there's going to be NBA openings. We know that. And we've now seen NBA head coach candidates that have decided to actually come back to college. At BYU, for example, he could have been the head coach of, I believe, the Brooklyn Nets. It was one of the teams. He had a standing offer to go be a head coach in the NBA, and he opted to go to college. I think in college, because the players don't have quite as much power it might be more appealing than the NBA, where you are completely at the mercy of your superstars.
Yeah.
That I think, and in the event in which you have one bad apple on your roster in college, that's fine. You deal with him for 1 year and he's gone. I mean, that to me might make college basketball coaching jobs more appealing.
I was just going to ask,
especially knowing they can pay some money.
Is it, when you're talking about the difference between the pro coach and the college coach, is it almost reverse in college basketball, NBA?
I think it is. Think about the divas you got to deal with in the NBA. Like, don't get me wrong.
The college basketball players, I'm sure, are all just, let me go run some extra sprints, coach.
Anything for the team, coach. No, I don't think you're dealing with, the easiest personalities in college, but I think there might be a little easier than the NBA. These guys in the NBA,
guys that are getting beyond generational money in the NBA. I mean, it's like you one contract that's fully guaranteed, and you
1 year
don't have to do anything,
and you're golden.
Yeah,
I mean, imagine being the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers and not like wanting to come out and just absolutely rip Joel Embiid right now. You know how hard that'd be?
Literally doesn't play.
He won't play unless you're 100%. These guys don't play.
Even when they're 100, sometimes don't play.
I mean, imagine having to deal with Ben Simmons as a head coach. Can't say anything. You go out and rip him, he really won't play. Like, I mean, I would literally jump off a cliff. If I were head coach in the NBA, I would jump off a cliff. It'd be fun because
it would not be an easy management process.
No,
at
brutal.
All. So, just kind of interesting where the differences may lie, and because what do we hear now about the NBA draft? I mean, we talked about it with Lindenborg yesterday. He's entering the NBA draft and the transfer portal, which would tell you that transfer portal is a viable option versus draft. We don't say that a lot in college football for higher profile guys. Maybe the shelf life has a little bit to do with that too. You want to go ahead and get to your real NFL contracts because the lifespan of a professional football player obviously is not going to be near what it is for a professional basketball player. I don't even know if it's that thought out a lot of times, but I'm sure it's a part of it. And it just tells me that you legitimately have guys who are looking at it and saying, I can get better money by going to a different school to play than I can going to the NBA. Now, lottery picks, this is not a conversation. They're not having this conversation. This is just not a real thing.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's even debatable pro versus playing in college at a certain level, I think is pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Because we're not getting that in college football a lot.
No.
Now you're going school versus school a lot of times. And I think you have guys who are maybe not going to get drafted say, okay, well, it's probably worth it to just come back and play another year of football. Like Cam Rising. I'm probably one of those guys.
Yeah.
Keep getting your NIL.
Where's he at now, by the way?
Crib.
Is he?
No, he's back at Utah.
Are you sure?
Last time I checked, yeah. I don't think that means
he's not on the team's roster. They went and got the kid from.
They got Nate Johnson from Vandy.
No, they went and got the kid from New Mexico, Dampier, Devin Dampier.
Eric Dampier?
Not related. Yeah, no longer on the Utah Utes football roster.
So is this our first guy that's like literally stuck in the portal?
Yes. But he's not the first.
Just nowhere to go?
Hey, first high profile.
Oh, yeah. First guy whose name we know.
Yeah.
Oh, they also got Utah lost Sam Ford. Nate Johnson was going to Utah. I'm positive.
He was there already. He was there last year.
He's going back.
He might be, but he's going to be in a competition with Dampier.
Right.
So I don't know the answer. I don't know where that's going, but just something to think about. But
uh-oh.
I'm so sick of this cough. Golly. And now I cramp every time I cough because I'm like dehydrated all the time, working out again.
There.
Falling apart.
Nate Johnson, Utah.
Yeah, he's there.
Okay. Just making sure. It's hard keeping up with all of these. Utah's also getting Creed Whittemore from Mississippi State. I'd forgotten about that one.
Quarterback?
No, wide receiver.
I was going to say, I don't know that guy.
He's good. He's a pretty good receiver. He was related to the Whittemore kid at Florida.
What number?
80-something. I don't know. Can't remember. Can't remember guys' names.
Stay hot. Yeah, I don't remember anything. Football's right around the corner, though. We got action coming up.
Yeah, this weekend.
Did you see
Roughnecks at Arlington?
Is that the game you're doing?
Yeah.
In Dally?
No, Arlington.
DF Dubs?
Arlington.
Have you decided if you're driving down to San Antonio yet?
I have not. I'm not going to be able to make Saturday. I can't do it.
I know that.
If they win, I'm going to figure out a way.
Highly recommend.
But with the game in San Antonio at noon on Sunday and my daughter's birthday on Sunday, I can't do Saturday. I can't do it. I would love to. It's not feasible for me right now.
I got an option for you. I just need you to know I have an option for you.
As long as it doesn't include the Riverwalk, we're good.
Von Lane, VONLANE.com.
Does he have a private jet I can use?
Just take a peek at that and let me know if you're interested. Because it might be the most fire thing ever. It's the only thing good in Texas from a transportation standpoint. Like,
Leaving?
What?
Leaving?
No.
Cost?
Not a lot.
Do I have to rent the whole bus or do I share it?
No, you get a seat. I mean, is that not the most fire thing ever? Super fancy bus.
This is basically rich people Greyhound.
Yes, that's right. But it's not really that expensive, I don't think. But anyways.
Can I not get the seats facing one another? Goodness gracious. We need to go to break so he can recover.
All choked up over it.
Zip
Wow.
it. I don't know if you can get the seats facing each other. Ooh, it doesn't look like Dallas.
They have bus attendants?
Yes, dude. It's the GOAT. The GOAT. You have whatever you need.
Do I want to go from Renaissance Plano or Doubletree Love Field?
Look, I'm from Texas. I'm a Texas kid. I think Texas is a great place to live. It's a terrible place to travel around.
Love Field is over there by where I'm going to be, right?
I do like Love Field.
No, I can leave from Renaissance Plano or Doubletree Love Field. Which one? I'm trying to book this trip.
Oh, I would probably
Doubletree Love Field.
move from Doubletree Love Field for sure.
They don't have San Antone 2 is not an option.
We'll go to Austin and then go from Austin to San Antone.
What?
Take 2 seconds. Relax. These are fancy buses. If they're too fancy for you, then fine. These things are fire.
You don't
And they're
have a
like
one-way?
Yeah, they have a one-way. You don't need a return. One way.
I got it. That's what I'm going to do is go one way.
I'm telling you, these things are awesome.
I can't wait to see how much.
Going to
It's not that
DFW's.
much, $750 for a bus ride.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. I clicked book your trip. Nothing's coming up.
It's not that much. No way.
I just
No
feel like
way.
making the time work would be very difficult.
It's not a short drive. But
No,
from
but just
Dallas
that-
to Austin's 3 hours.
That many people doing that. thing.
Dallas to Austin's 3 hours. You're halfway there, and then you take the next 2.5 from Austin to San Antonio. $135. Action. They leave every 2 hours.
135. You're right.
Told you. The GOAT.
I have. Okay, you have to remind me of this because we got to go to Mike DeCourcy next. I'm writing this down for the final segment of the show.
Yes.
Stallion's bus story.
Stallion's bus story.
You are not going to believe this.
Wow.
I'm talking about one of the best football stories you've maybe ever heard. And you've never heard anything like it in your life. I have one kind of similar to it, but on more of a, I'm not going to say more positive, negative note, but on a, I guess I'm not going to say it. I have one kind of similar, but you've never heard anything like this.
So you're not sure if
Maybe
it's a plus or minus because we've already kind of gone through
It's
that.
not a 1.5.
Okay.
Actually, it's a 0 because did not play,
Oh, all right.
but by choice because of bus.
Mm.
We'll get to that later. When we come back, Mike DeCourcy of Sporting News Fox Sports is going to break down the Final Four. Next on Mac and Cube in the morning. 8:30, Wednesday, April 2nd. Jocks 94.5 going to go back to the Final Four. Mike DeCourcy going to join us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Give us his thoughts on the Final Four. And, Mike, there are a lot of people surprised by 4-1 seeds. It's only happened one other time. But based on the field and how the brackets were going to lay out, are you overly surprised that all 4-1 seeds advanced to this point?
I'm not overly. When I did my projection, I almost did 3, and then I said, "Oh, we're not going to have 3. We never have 3." And so then I looked at Tennessee and thought maybe they could do it to Houston and put Tennessee in there. But I will say, as I've looked at this, I think in retrospect, all of us underestimated the achievements, the accomplishments, the power of these 4 teams. When 2008 happened, none of us was really surprised. Memphis had Derrick Rose, a great surrounding cast. UCLA had Russell Westbrook and Darren Collison and Kevin Love, and they were fantastic. And Carolina, Hansborough, and the group would go on and win it the following year. And Kansas, the team that had, I think, 5-6 pros, plus Sharon Collins, who's an all-time KU great, and ended up winning it. None of us was surprised by that. I think what maybe led to this was the fact that there aren't a ton of NBA obvious, like, first-round guys in this group, other than the ones for Duke. But Florida wins the SEC tournament, the strongest league, deepest league we've ever seen. Auburn dominates that league in the regular season, wins 16 regular season quad 1 games. Houston goes 19-1 and 10-0 on the Big 12 road. The Big 12 was a very balanced conference. And you look at all of that, and you say to yourself, well, and then, of course, Duke, which absolutely destroyed the ACC. Now, it was pretty wreckable, but they wrecked it in ways that maybe went beyond what one would expect. And then all of that says that these are 4 great teams. This is not just 4 teams that happen to be 1 seed that made the tournament. For this to happen, they have to be great, and that's what they are.
What do you make of just how big the gap apparently was, though? Because there have been a couple challenging moments for Florida, for instance. I think a lot of us were sitting there thinking they might be on their way out, and that was a huge surprise. But Duke has looked flawless for the most part. Houston been, sure, a couple moments, maybe a little shaky, but not many. Auburn maybe struggled for about 5 minutes and then pulled away from Michigan in a 22 run or whatever it was. Does it kind of speak to just how good these teams are and how big the gap might have been between them and the 2 seed in their region?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm trying to say is that we looked at it and thought that this was typical, and it wasn't. When you look back at the breadth of their accomplishments, so that 19-1 record by Houston in the Big 12, a huge part of the reason why the Sporting News chose Kelvin Sampson as our coach of the year for the nation, because that just was a staggering achievement. That was a very balanced league. Texas Tech, you guys all saw, was really good, and Arizona played Duke tough for 35 minutes. To go through that in the way that they did was amazing. And I never had any doubt that Duke was great. And Auburn, from the very beginning, played the toughest schedule in America, one of the toughest that anybody's played ever. And until I think they kind of got bored at the end. They'd already clinched the SEC regular season. The league wasn't one that would accommodate you getting bored because it was so good that if you didn't bring it, they were going to beat you. But to an extent, Auburn didn't have to prove anything. I wrote with about 4 games left in the regular season, I think, plus whatever happened in the conference tournament, that I thought they could lose 3 more and still be the 1 overall seed. I didn't expect them to test the theory, but they did. And I was right. They did. They lost 3, and they still were the 1 overall because they'd accomplished so much.
Mike DeCourcy joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. He covers college basketball for the Sporting News, Fox Sports. We hear different aspects of tournament basketball, Mike, and whether it's guard play, having a big man, threes, transition, whatever it is, defense. But we're going to talk a lot about defense with these 4 teams, I think. And length will be another pretty big conversation that we talk about as far as what these teams are able to do and can do. What do you look at as sort of the determining factor for these 2 games and then the championship game between whoever advances if there were to be one?
Well, the first thing I look at when I project a champion, whether it's in the preseason or the regular season, is, okay, who are the pros? That's what I want to know first. And why do I do that? Well, it has been since 1987. So that's the last time that we had a champion that didn't have an NBA first-round pick in its rotation. So what are we talking now? 38 years since, minus one tournament because of 2020. That's a lot of history to go against, and people go against it all the time. There are lots of times when I'll see someone's bracket and look at it, and it's a really good college team that has no pros, and I say, "Oops, sorry, you're done." And that's kind of where I look first, and when I look at that, it's what I keep coming back to, is that Duke looks like the most like the champion, the most like what a champion has historically looked like in NCAA men's basketball. Why does that matter? I think the reason it matters is that the coaches at this level, you get this far, and you're already really bright and really smart and really good at your job, and then you go overboard. You put everything you have, every last ounce of energy, into preparing for these games and picking apart every play a team might run, every preference they might have, and you try to take it away. And then you get down to the 35th minute or something like that, and some pro guy like a Cooper Flagg or a Con Knippel or someone like that says, "Yeah, but you can't take this away because I just made it up and I can do it." And that's usually what ends up being the difference in terms of winning the championship. And so that's my first ingredient. The ones you mentioned are all really important. Top 20 offense and defense. Since Ken Pom came along, we've only had one exception to that over a full season, and that was UConn in 14. So if you're not top 20 offense and defense, you're not winning this. But these guys are all top 10 in both. So they're all eligible there. You got to protect the rim. They're good at that. You got to have really good point guard play. Auburn has very good point guard play. They just don't have a dominant player at that position. Everybody kind of fits all of them except the one where Duke seems to be the one team that has the obvious pros.
It's amazing the length that Duke has and how they forced Alabama to settle for shots that were 30 feet from the basket, it felt like. I mean, they just could not get a good look whatsoever within the perimeter or at the 3-point line. It was unbelievable. So do you think that's something that can be replicated in each of the next two games en route to a championship?
Yeah, I do. And especially on Saturday, because they'll face a much less imposing offensive team in Houston than they did against the Tide. The Tide were maybe the best offensive team in the country, one of them certainly. And they were coming off easily the best offensive performance we've seen in the NCAA tournament in probably a decade. Now, they didn't do that against the best defense ever, but it was still staggering what they were able to achieve. And so then you look at Duke against Houston, and I think the real challenge for the Blue Devils is just finding a way to stay alive, so to speak, against that defense, because it absolutely massacred Tennessee. I've never seen anything quite like that at that level of the tournament, scoring 15 points in the first half. This is not 1938, 39, I guess. This isn't that. This is 2025, when teams are routinely scoring 90, 85, 90, 100 points to only score 15 and a half. And that's what Duke has to contend with on Saturday. And I think a lot of it is going to have to be understanding that it's not going to be easy and it's not going to be fun, but you have to keep powering through it and do what you do, and don't be too dissuaded, because if you allow them to get inside your head, then you're in big trouble.
Mike, I don't want to make you go through both games and break them both down, but I'm just very interested from a Florida-Auburn perspective. We saw it at Neville Arena. There are differences in both of these teams now. Florida looked unstoppable until that game against Texas Tech. Auburn has been great and average in maybe every tournament game. They've been great more than they've been average, but they've had their little runs of not looking elite. What do you make of this game as far as who advances and why?
Well, I think in all honesty, it comes down to two guys for me. Of course, there's Janai Broome and his health. I mean, we have to presume that if he's not 100%, it's going to be very hard, or close to 100%. If we don't look at him and say, okay, that's Janai, even if he's not feeling good, then that's a problem. But if he is what ordinarily he is, I think then it comes down to Walter Clayton for Florida, and he has to be the same Walter Clayton for 40 minutes that he was for the last 8 against UConn and the last 5 that he was against Texas Tech. I think that there has to be an understanding in the Florida camp that the other players on their offense, especially the other perimeter players, are not they're not the kinds of guys that score big at this level. Maybe in transition if they can get something going, but Elijah Martin is not an elite offensive player. Richard is not an elite offensive player. They're both very, very good college players, but they're not extraordinary on offense. And then you have on the Auburn side, and I think you can see that Bruce Pearl is recognizing this and embracing this and saying, okay, I've got guys who got more experience than Tahad Pettiford, but it's his time. He's the best we've got on the perimeter. He's the most talented guy. He's the guy that can generate baskets, whether it's for himself or for others. And you'll see over the course of the last 3 games in the tournament, he's averaged 29 minutes. I think he only hit that number like 3 times all year because they were emphasizing the veterans and all of that. Well, if you want to win this thing, it's not about who's been there longer now. It's about who has the best chance. And Tahad is the guy who gives them the best chance.
Mike, we appreciate the time. Great stuff. And I know you're in between flights trying to get there to the Final Four. Thanks for taking some time for us today, man. Really appreciate it.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Catch up soon. Mike DeCourcy there of Fox Sports, the Sporting News, covers college basketball. Some good insight there as to kind of how he thinks this Final Four, specifically Auburn, Florida, will unfold this weekend. We'll spend a little bit more time on it throughout the course of the show today. But when we come back, I told you I had a bus story involving football that needs to be shared, and it will. First, tell our listeners about Polar Bear Services.
Polar Bear Services has been my go-to for a very long time, and I'm very, very grateful to the experience I've been provided from Weston and the guys at Polar Bear Services. They're just the best. I call them for everything. They've added so many things to their line that I now basically, if something goes wrong in my house, it's the first phone call I make. Right now, we know it's starting to heat up this week. It's going to be 90 degrees here in the next couple days. That is a record here in Birmingham, Alabama. So the hot temperatures are coming, and in some ways they're already here, but what makes it more complex is that we're going to have freezing temperatures next Monday and Tuesday. You think your system's being put to the test now? Just wait. It's only going to get more challenging here in the months to come. That's why I go with Polar Bear Services for a system tune-up. Come out and make sure everything's ready to roll before the summertime hits, because the last thing I want is my ACs stop working when it's 100 degrees outside. It'll be here before we know it. So remember, if you have a problem with your electrical, they can do electrical. If you have a problem with your plumbing, they can do their plumbing. Your heat or air, just pick up the phone and call the Bear. It's 205-497-BEAR. That's 497-BEAR.
All right, bus story involving football next. Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 8:47, Wednesday, April 2nd, Jocks 94.5. Told you I'd give you a bus story. And we did have Steven in Texas send me a message, Greg, following up on what you said.
Yeah.
What's it called? Vaughn
Lane?
Vaughn Lane?
Yes.
He said, yeah, you reserve the exact seats you want, food, beverage, Wi-Fi, attendance, direct TV service, very comfy. He said, I've been on like 50 of those from DFW to Austin.
They're legit. It's the best way. By the time you get through DFW or if you're going from Dallas to Houston, like I don't have a single friend that takes that flight anymore. Like it used to be pretty easy with Southwest, but Southwest costs a fortune now. Like you're better off just getting on a Vaughn Lane for $130 and going down there. It's awesome. You got full bar. It's great.
So staying with the bus story, Coach Goose, who you know, offensive line coach for the Birmingham Stallions. You knew him from the Jets. You guys were at the Jets at the same time?
Correct.
We're talking about just different players on the team, and one of the tackles for Birmingham, Armani Taylor Prelo. We're kind of going through the lineup, and he's like, no, I'm going to do this and this. And he goes, I don't know if I'm going to rotate yet. He goes, I want to rotate the guys, but I kind of want to get the game going first, decide how we're going to do it. I'm like, cool. And this, I was like, this guy, obviously Cole was here at the center last year. Left tackle was here last year. I was like, Prelo here last year. He goes, yeah, Prelo. He's like, Armani started every game. He goes, well, not every game. And I said, well, is he your guy or not? I said, I remember him being your guy. He goes, oh, yeah, except for the 2 bus trips we had.
Oh, boy. Bus trips bad?
I said,
bad bus guy?
Hold on. I said, what are you talking about? And he goes, I gave him the week off.
From the bus or the game?
I'm like, hold on a second. He said, we had 2 trips that were long bus rides that we didn't fly. And he said, Armani's like 6'7". He's like 5.5 hours, 6'7" on a bus just doesn't work.
Yeah, we're out.
And I said, so he didn't play in those games? He goes, nah, I gave him the week off.
Oh, so like legit gave him the week off.
Yeah. He goes, we weren't going to
do that?
He's like, we weren't going to make him get on the bus for 5.5, 6 hours each way at 6'7".
Golly. That is, that's interesting. I have not heard of a story like that before.
That's what I told Coach Goose, and he goes,
Coach, players coach.
Sometimes the way it is.
Coach Goose, players coach.
He's like, he wasn't going to do the bus ride. So we gave him the week off.
Wow. Wow.
And it did remind me of my college roommate, Colin Sears. We played Russellville in the playoffs in high school.
Yeah.
And we were watching their film leading up to the game, and they had this guy on extra point field goal lined up as like I don't know if he was a guard or a tackle, where exactly he lined up.
Yeah.
And he just towered over everybody else.
Everybody.
Towered over everybody. Like everybody else's helmet came up to like his armpits. And we ended up.
Everybody knows that guy, by the way.
We ended up finding a listing of this guy, and like, seriously, he was 7 feet tall.
Seriously?
And I remember talking to Colin Sears about it when we got to Auburn. I'm like, hey, I remember when we played you guys. Like, you had the one dude that was like 7'1" or something, like on field goal. He's like, Cole, the dude is huge. He said he had an old Chevy pickup, and he used to follow our bus to games because he didn't make him ride on the school bus to games. So he would be in his little like Chevy Silverado behind us.
Yeah.
Like in his pants with his thigh pads and knee pads in. Like shoulder pad and helmet in the back of the pickup. He's like following us to games because he's so tall, they couldn't make him get on the school bus to ride around the games.
That feels fair.
I'm like, how did nobody else, like you were like Colin's like 6'4", at that time, 315. I'm like, how did you not say, hey, coach, I'm going to ride with him?
Is that all just super thoughtful, or is it just me? Am I thinking of this over too much?
The high school one with Russellville is like overly realistic.
Yeah.
I mean, a school bus with a 7-footer, just, I don't know how that works.
That's not going to work.
No. I do understand being, I don't understand being 6'7" because I never have been, but being almost 6'4", riding on a bus is not fun.
No.
But we did a lot of, I think we bused to Oxford when I was at Auburn. That was the longest bus ride we had, but we had to bus to Montgomery to fly. So what he had just said, and by the way, he played at South Carolina State. Like I have a friend that played.
That's FCS. I
have a friend that played at Alabama A&M. Played in the NFL for a while too. Played linebacker. He told us stories about how they bus to almost every game.
Yeah.
He's like, Cole, we had some 11 and 12 hour bus rides. Now we stopped a couple times to eat and get out, but like, he goes, 8, 9 hours on a bus was nothing for us.
How? At what
So,
point
like, how
did you
did
get
Armani
uncomfortable on the
Taylor
bus?
just not play road games in college?
Just no road games. Coach can't do it today. Don't fit.
He was load management before there was load management.
No, but they were not intentional. It's purely.
Lactic acid.
I feel like it's just purely circumstantial. Doesn't fit.
Circumstantial is good.
Golly, that'd
I've
be
never
tough.
heard anything like it.
That's
Like,
brutal.
who was the tallest guy you had on your? Like, I'm trying to think. We had
And the NFL is pretty easy.
or in
Rapati-
college. Wait, I'm thinking the tallest guy on our team in college was probably Kendall Mack 6'5". I don't know. Did we have a 6'6"? I'm trying to think. Well, TJ Mears was 6'6".
Yeah, ours was Drew Davis. He was probably 6'7", our right tackle.
Did he stay at home?
From Evergreen, Alabama? No, that'd have been a problem.
I mean, TJ Mears on a bus, regular bus, couldn't have been fun, but he didn't stay home for bus
No.
ride games.
In the NFL, we had a guy named Rapati Pachuatua who is 6'8", D tackle, Polynesian dude. He was my locker mate right next door.
6'8" at D tackle is not easy.
He's a big boy.
That's not easy to
No,
the
he was-
pad level.
I've only seen two of them at 6'8" at D tackle. Him and Chris Canty. Those are the only two I've ever seen that were that big.
Chris Cantu just run you over.
Oh, dude, that was my welcome to the NFL moment. Get under center. They're week 3 of the preseason NFL. We're playing the Giants. My first series, Sanchez plays 2.5 quarters, right? So my first series, I got to go in. It's it's 10 minutes left maybe 8 minutes left in the third quarter. Giants defense still has their starters going in. They pin me at the 1 yard line. So I have to go in and do a QB sneak against Chris Canty. And he had the face mask that is literally like, he looks like a
it's like
medieval times character. It's like totally
like Star Wars,
bars everywhere.
The Lando Calrissian.
Oh my God. I'm like, this is not fair. I think we gained a yard though.
I bet you would like to have the tush push then.
Got a little breathing room. No. Tush push can kick rocks. I'd rather take a safety than have the tush push.
Chris Canty, when he does his stuff on ESPN, he doesn't look real.
No, he's
It's like
absolutely enormous.
when you watch him, you're like, is Chris half the distance to the camera than everybody else? Like, is he 4 feet from the camera and everybody else is 12 feet from the camera? Like,
Yeah.
That's how the difference in his frame versus everybody else's frame looks when he does TV stuff.
He's the biggest guy I played against. Calais Campbell was huge, but I don't remember how tall.
not 6'8".
I'd have to look back and see. Calais Campbell was a big boy.
No, he's like 6'6".
He's
I think.
6'8". 6'8". Yeah, Calais Campbell.
I don't
I
think
think
he's 6'8".
Canty was bigger. Like Canty was huge. But I remember going against Calais. And that wasn't fun either. Played against him. He was, where was he? Arizona. Yeah, he was in Arizona. Cardinals. That wasn't fun. I didn't have to do a QB sneak against him though, so YOLO. Not fun.
Nope.
Life in the league.
What is fun is taking a trip over to Bromberg's and finding a gift for somebody you love.
It is. It's great, and very much appreciate everything that we've been able to get from Bromberg's. We've been able to create a lot of generational purchases that we will have in our family for years and years and years, thanks to our friends at Bromberg's. The best sales staff. They know what they're doing. They're going to get you pointed in the direction of things that your loved ones will love, like natural diamonds, which are beautiful, one-of-a-kind pieces of jewelry. They have a master jeweler that works exclusively with them, and it's extremely talented. So highly recommend going and checking out Bromberg's today. You can go and see them in Mountain Brook Village or at the Summit, but you can always check them out at brombergs.com.
A little bit more on Auburn, Florida from Nick De La Torre, who's with us next. Also, first Florida scrimmage of the spring. DJ Lagway throwing, not throwing. How's the rest of the team coming together? After a couple of spring practices and one scrimmage, what's it going to look like in Gainesville according to that? Nick will answer those questions when he joins us after this. And we'll continue talking college football and more on Jocks 94.5. Final hour underway, 9 a.m., Wednesday, April 2nd, Jocks 94.5. Listen online, jocksfm.com. Find us on YouTube. Watch live every day. Just search Jocks 945. You feeling on edge? Lacking sleep? Need energy? Game Day Men's Health can help you. Helped a lot of people here in Central Alabama, and they want you to be next in line. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. Schedule a free consultation. You get a free PSA test, free testosterone test. Find out where you stand, and then they're going to be able to answer the questions of why you feel poorly and get you in the right shape. Weight loss, multiple plans for that as well. Peptides, it can help you with multiple ailments right there at Game Day Men's Health. You can save 10% on any service they offer by mentoring Mac and Cube when you walk in the front door. At Game Day Men's Health, holistic approach to health and wellness. They just want to help you feel better. Weight loss, better sleep, better mood, less brain fog, more energy. They can help you with all those at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Go sign up for the free consultation today. It's free, and they'll let you know where you are. And minimal upfront cost for the programs that they offer at Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Nick De La Torre covers the Florida Gators. He joins us now on the Higginbotham hotline to talk not only football, but a little bit of basketball. Not your specialty, Nick, but I want to start with that because I think we'll probably spend more time on football with you. But what do you look at as different or maybe necessary for Florida against Auburn this time around as opposed to when the Gators essentially dominated Auburn on the road about a month ago?
Yeah, I mean, this is they're different teams now. I think this is an Auburn team that had like a fist fight on a plane at the beginning of the year amongst themselves, and that's certainly a different team. That team that beat Auburn, I think, also didn't have Elijah Martin, so it's tough to beat a team multiple times. I think we saw that with Tennessee and Kentucky in the tournament, so it'll be a challenge. I think looking at the KenPom ratings, these are some of the four best teams to ever be rated by KenPom. So I think we're in for a treat this weekend in San Antonio. I'm looking forward to getting out there. But for Florida, I think it's going to start with Broome. And last time, Alex Condon had a really, really good defensive performance. Condon hasn't been playing great. Also dealing with an injury. I think we all kind of gasped when Johnny Broome had that arm injury the last game, then he comes right back in and hits a three. So the big men up there, but also with Florida, Cole, it's kind of starts and ends with Walter Clayton. It's hard to believe that he's Florida's first team All-American when you think about those back-to-back championship teams with Noah and Horford and Brewer, but the first team All-American in Florida history. So he's kind of just been going off for Florida, and certainly the way he ended the game is the reason why Florida's still dancing.
No, he's amazing. There's no getting past that. Is it as simple as just bottling him up and let the other guys beat you? How would you try to go after defending them?
Yeah, that's been interesting to watch because Walt obviously has been great, but they've got three other guards with Denzel Aberdeen, Will Richard, and Elijah Martin that can all have 20-point games, 25-point games. And Elijah Martin has played such great defense, and I think has asked to take on the other team's best player. He's started games hot and then has really been great for Florida defensively after that. So the Gators also have Tommy Hawk, a kid who I think was a 3-star from Pennsylvania area, and he had an unbelievable Elite Eight. They just have so many different ways to beat you, and I think the thing that's kind of impressed me the most is all of these guys are from smaller schools. Mike Handlogden started at Marshall. Elijah Martin obviously made the Final Four run, but a kid from Mississippi who had to play at FAU to start his career. Will Richard was at Belmont. Walter Clayton was at Iona. Even Todd Golden says that he's a mid-major guy playing at St. Mary's and then coaching at San Francisco. And it's been a number one seed who has an underdog mentality, which I've kind of been joking about that. I said this might be the first number one seed who thinks that they are acting like they're a 14 seed making a run. But I think they really believe this underdog mentality of none of us are supposed to be here. We weren't recruited. And nobody wanted us to play at a high D1 level, and they're out to prove why they think that, they are the best team in the country.
We're visiting with Nick De La Torre. He covers the Florida Gators, talking a little bit of hoops right there, but want to ship over to college football. First scrimmage of the spring for the Gators yesterday. What were the takeaways?
Yeah, I think the first takeaway is that Florida is you're glad that it's spring and not fall. Still dealing with a bunch of injuries, and then a lot of that is just, as you guys know, getting stuff cleaned up after the fall season. But I think for me, the biggest takeaway is that a lot of the pieces that Florida gets back, especially Tyreek Sapp, kind of a guy who had just played wherever Florida needed him to. I think he's 6'3", maybe 240. He has a nose tackle snap in his career. Kind of just says yes and does whatever the coaching staff needs him to do. He really broke out last year, in my opinion, playing on the edge. He's been just a menace all spring and kind of blows some things up for the offense. But I like Florida. I think the biggest thing probably from the spring practice or from the first scrimmage is that they didn't get any more injuries. But the offensive line returning 4 starters and then finding, I think, a 5th starter in Bryce Lovett, who I'm projecting to play at right tackle. And then the defensive line getting guys like Sapp and Gums back, and then another guy who we haven't seen a ton of, but a former 5-star, LJ McCray, I think is starting to come into his own as well.
Yeah, what's going on with the quarterback situation and Lagway being banged up and how involved is he and things of that nature? What's the deal with kind of the offense and the quarterback spot?
Yeah. DJ's has not thrown yet at all. I don't anticipate that he will throw this spring. I think they're just being cautious with him. Having the opportunity now with Florida Victorious to stay out for all of practice in the spring and not just the 15 minutes. When the team goes into team run periods, 11-on-11, 7-on-7, DJ is behind the second string quarterback now, Aiden Mizell, who is the first team in the without DJ practicing, and kind of going through his drops, going through the reads. He's even, in the scrimmage, he even took snaps with the first team just to kind of get a live rep, but just handing the ball off. There was one time he pulled it in the scrimmage yesterday and took off running. Of course, you're wearing a black jersey and might get kicked off the team if you hit DJ Lagway as he's scrambling during a scrimmage in the spring. But yeah, it's definitely taken the wind out of I think some of the sails for the fan base to not be getting updates on DJ Lagway and how he's progressing. Florida has 3 freshman receivers who the fan base is really excited about, and you're not really getting to see any clips or anything of DJ throwing to them. So I think it has taken, the wind out of the Florida sails, but we're not expecting that this is going to be a lingering issue into the fall for DJ. It's just kind of been a bummer for the spring.
Are we kind of sleeping on this receiver core? Because Greg and I were talking about, I had a buddy that said Auburn's going to have the best receiver core in the SEC this year, and we started kicking it around, and it's not a crazy statement, but there's others that could be in that mix. I don't think Florida is one that people would immediately bring up in that conversation, but there could be some real depth. I mean, talent-wise, we've seen flashes from a lot of these guys, not a lot of consistency from numerous guys on the roster, but I mean, I would think it'd be fair to say it has a chance to be a really good group.
Yeah, and I think the one that we probably aren't talking about a lot is, or maybe nationally, is J. Michael Sturdivant, the transfer from Cal and UCLA. He had a really good start to his career at Cal, and then the production kind of dipped off at UCLA, but I think that might be just a product of what UCLA was offensively. He's been exceptional this spring, and I think immediately steps in as your starter at X. Florida's coaching staff thinks they found someone in him, and he's, I think, 6'4", 6'3", 216. Goes up and gets the ball really well. You're going to get hopefully a 100% healthy Eugene Wilson as well. And then you've added three really talented true freshmen in a 5-star in Dallas Wilson, who being out there, he looks like a 5-star linebacker, a freshman 5-star linebacker, and moves and runs like a 5-star receiver. He's 6'3", 210. You have Vernell Brown III, VB3 they call him here, a legacy. His dad was a great player here as well. And then Nashawn Montgomery, a kid, I think he's originally from Rhode Island, but played his high school ball down in South Florida in Miami. It's a really deep group. Of course, Tank Hawkins, Aiden Mizell, they don't have a lot of experience, but they make up for that in a lot of talent and potential. And yeah, it's one of the deepest and most talented rooms, I think, on the team.
Finally, everybody last year was all bent out of shape about Billy Napier and the direction of the program and all these other, issues surrounding it. But I really feel like things have softened. I know they finished really well and things look excellent and all that stuff down the stretch, but has it really cooled his seat for the fan base?
Well, it's an SEC fan base, so come out and lose to Miami and LSU, and we'll be back to where we were, last August, last September. But yeah, I think so, and I think it's the way you finish the season, but also the potential with DJ. And I've said it once or twice before. I've covered Florida since 2013, and this is the first quarterback I've seen where I thought he could have a statue next to Steve, Danny, and Tim outside the stadium. I think that if DJ is healthy and plays up to his potential, he's a Heisman candidate. And I think that's really where the fan base has kind of bought in. The way that they finished, and then the potential with DJ and the excitement with DJ, which is kind of why I've said, you've kind of lost the wind in your sails a little bit because you're not getting those DJ updates. But it's a tough schedule. Again, the SEC kind of just kicked the scheduling can down the road and just flipped it this year. So we'll know a lot about Florida in that late September, early October stretch with at LSU, which is so weird to have LSU that early on the schedule for Florida, at Miami, hosting Texas, and then at Texas A&M. That's going to be a critical stretch for Florida. But I think all last season the narrative was, man, Florida's schedule is so hard, and I don't know that we're getting that much of that talk. And now you're thinking, well, these teams have to come and play Florida as well. So the narrative's changed a little bit, but certainly from what I've seen, that is going to revolve around getting number 2 healthy and keeping number 2 healthy.
Nick, great stuff, man. Thanks for hopping on with us, talking a little Florida basketball, Florida spring practice and football, Final Four. Enjoy the weekend. We'll catch up with you soon.
Have a good one, guys.
Nick De La Torre covers the Florida Gators and giving us a little insight on that Final Four matchup with Auburn, and also a little bit of insight on spring ball. You feel similar about that receiver core, Greg? You look at, Aiden Mizell, high-profile recruit, done a little bit. Eugene Wilson, at times when healthy, has been solid. We've seen Khalil Jackson make some big plays. You bring in Michael J. Sturdivant, who's a bigger, more physical down-the-field talent. You got a couple freshmen that could fill in. Elijah Badger was way underrated last year.
Very.
He was really good.
So was DK. They were both good.
Yeah, and they just didn't get a lot of credit because there's just so many people that I think are.
I just don't think people have paid close enough attention to Florida.
It's got it in their brain that it's whether it's Billy or whatever it is, they're just not going to. It's just going to be negative. It just is. I think part of it is I don't know if it's going to be negative. I think they weren't good early. And if you're out of it, no one's really paying attention. Yeah, people kind of forget about you.
Yeah, they kind of don't care. Oh, you beat Ole Miss, awesome. So did Kentucky. You know what I mean? That's the narrative, right? That's the way it goes. So, I think they were probably better than people realize from the peripheral. But at the same time, there's still progress to be made. Some of the stuff that they did last year, still, I think there's a few things that need to be advanced. I think Lagway can do a better job of going through progressions. I think Lagway can be better when it comes to getting rid of the ball. Superman plays are great. He makes 3 or 4 a game, but there's also 3 or 4. It's and it would have been great to have him in spring football to work on progressions and just playing a little bit faster. So it's a bummer he's not available, but it doesn't dampen the heightened expectations that I have for Florida this year based on what I've seen in the past.
Absolutely. All right. So talk a little bit more about why not Florida this upcoming season as it pertains to college football next on Mac and Cube in the morning? $9:18, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. What would it take for Florida to sort of climb out of that negative perception that they have on them right now? Because as you heard Nick De La Torre say earlier, Greg, the schedule is not super forgiving early. Is somewhat similar to last year.
Yes.
And this has been a couple years in a row now. It's almost like Florida now has the Arkansas, South Carolina curse, where early in the season, it's just going to be this standing death march.
Death march.
But, which I don't know if you could have a sitting death march, but either way.
Be crazy.
Now, it doesn't start right out of the gate as they get, tell me if you've seen the tape on Long Island.
Hadn't yet, but I was going to dive in this afternoon.
And obviously the mascot just fits right in with the first thing you think about when you say
Sharks.
Long Island football.
T's?
Sharks.
Oh.
Yeah, it's okay. How would you spell that? T''S or TEES?
Maybe have Mr. T?
It's a Long Island football, man. I don't know what the history is. South Florida next, which they actually have. South Florida actually has a decent amount of guys coming back.
They should be able to handle.
They should. It should not be problematic. I wouldn't think that would be one that they will struggle with, but just.
That wouldn't be one that would scare me, but I do think that they can be dangerous. As
Scared
we've
Alabama
learned.
a couple times the last few years.
Weird matchup for Alabama, though. I don't know if it would be as difficult for a team like Florida that wants to kind of pound you. You know what I mean? Like
Fair.
Bama struggled with their athleticism, movement, all that stuff. I think Florida can be maybe at the time. I think this version of Alabama, if they played them now, they'd probably be a little better shape. But having guys that were 340, 350, 360 going against guys that were 220 rushing the passers is a weird matchup.
It is. But Byron Brown back at quarterback for South Florida had a pretty good year. And obviously that offense, one that once you get comfortable in it, can be problematic. We've seen that offense work against teams that weren't supposed to for a long time. They do lose their leading receiver, but their next three will return for Coach Golis down there. After that, you get at LSU, at Miami. Oh, boy. Then you get Texas at home. Then you're at A&M. Mississippi State at home. Georgia at home. Well, neutral site. At Kentucky, at Ole Miss, Tennessee at home. Oh, man. I mean, just on the just tip of the table here, what's best case scenario for Florida this year in your mind?
Gosh, I honestly...
7. Here's the thing. It's not like LSU isn't gettable.
They're gettable. For sure
Miami's going to have massive turnover.
Did they get LSU last year? I feel like they did. They beat LSU last year, right? Yeah. Miami's gettable.
Let me put it this way right now. There's only one game on this schedule that I look at and say, I don't think they can find a way to win that game. And not that it's impossible, but just that I look at it and say, no, don't like that one.
Nope. And
it's Texas at home. So you're at home, and at least that could be, I mean, that game gets moved tonight. You know, if somehow you start out 4-0, that place will be bananas. All right, younger quarterback, maybe you can rattle him a little bit. Because I mean, tell me right now, who would you least rather play week 1 of this upcoming college football season, Texas or Georgia?
I would much rather play. I shouldn't say much. I'd rather play Georgia.
I think I would too. John, would you rather your team open up with Texas or Georgia? You're trying to go undefeated.
I think Georgia.
I think we're all in the same boat there, which is, it's weird to say it. It doesn't feel right, but you just look at what's back and what you have confidence in and what those two teams are going to be. That's the one that I look at and say, I don't like that at all.
Nah.
Georgia, there's some uncertainty with quarterback. The D-line has not been the same the last couple of years. Is it going to bounce back and be a little bit more? They had offensive line issues last year, and they lost a lot of their guys. So is that just going to autocorrect? They're not as talented at receiver, I don't feel like.
No. I think that they have a chance to be.
Oh, Georgia could be good. Could be really good.
Receiver. I don't know if they're going to be. To be honest with you, I don't think they were going to receiver last year with the drops. So I think Georgia's that team that you never really want to play, but they're also that team that probably gets a little bit too much credit. They have kind of that built-in, I trust them.
Does that also lead to they have a 2.5 point mental advantage over most teams when they play them?
Yeah, I think there's a factor there, but Georgia gets given the benefit of the doubt. Like last year, yes, they won the SEC. It's a tremendous achievement. Always is, regardless of what the circumstances are. You win the SEC, that's a job well done. It's a heck of a year. But if you're going to fast forward it just a little bit and you kind of look back and you're like, well, they could have lost they did lose badly to Ole Miss. That game wasn't overwhelmingly competitive. They could have lost to Kentucky. The fact that Kentucky couldn't get that game closed is kind of alarming. If DJ Lagway doesn't get hurt against Florida, is it a different animal? Maybe. Probably should have lost, if not for no targeting on Dan Jackson against Georgia Tech. They get targeting called at game, set, match. You got, what other ones? Oh, Auburn. Auburn picked up the 4th and 1. Maybe it's a different animal. You know, I'm not saying they won that game comfortably, but it might have been a different animal if that, like, they were closer to being average last year than most people want to remember. So I think that there's a little built-in trust with Georgia for sure, but I think they got question marks coming this year.
I wouldn't doubt it. And you brought up a team that I think is a little bit interesting too a moment ago. We've had this conversation about certain teams. I forget who the team was last year, but every time there was one team going into last season, every time we referenced them, you and I just both said, I have no idea what we're going to get. I don't know. In the SEC, that is. Don't know what that team's going to be. God, who was that? Was it LSU maybe? I can't recall who that was, but there was
didn't know what they were going to be.
Yeah, I not that I think that
I think it was A&M.
That might be it. I don't know that the positive end of this possibility is one that we're necessarily referencing, but I have no idea what we're going to get from Kentucky this year.
Yeah,
I have no clue.
Well, nobody does. They have a whole new team.
You have a quarterback that's been productive some places. He's thrown the ball to the other team a lot at other places. You have a couple of new offensive linemen that I've watched a couple of them actually, and they look pretty decent, but they're from lower levels of football. You got a new running back that I think can be an absolute hammer to offset what you already have, which could be nice, but your talent at receiver's gone. You're not near as deep on defense as you have been. And I just, I don't know, Greg. I honestly, I look at Kentucky late on that schedule for Florida, and I'm like, I don't. That game's been weird for a long time.
It's weird for Florida. I don't think Kentucky matches up well with Florida anymore. With where Florida's gone, I don't think it's a good matchup for Kentucky. Like, they're kind of the same team.
If you're playing the matchup game from that perspective and giving Florida a little extra credit for being physical, then who do they not have advantages against? I'm not going to give them necessarily an advantage against Georgia, not Texas. Is that it? I mean, think about the other type teams you're playing. Tennessee's not going to be as physical as they were last year.
No.
A&M on the defensive side probably is not going to be able to match what they had a year ago.
I feel pretty good about them against Tennessee. Yeah. I don't know if you do.
And Ole Miss. If you're just talking that part of it, Ole Miss, advantage. Kentucky, advantage. Mississippi State, advantage. LSU, advantage. Miami, I think they're probably. I would say they're
neck and neck.
Yeah, but
Miami's pretty physical now.
They are. I'm not going to say a massive advantage either way there.
No.
That's one that's kind of fun to watch.
No, they'll get after you.
Yeah, not going to give them the ad against Texas, not going to give them the ad against Georgia, but if that's the way the season plays out, I mean, think about South Florida too, spread team. That's not a team that's going to punch in the face.
Tell me the one on their schedule, though, that they're losing. Like, no doubt about it.
Texas.
No questions asked. It's at home.
I know.
That's part of the.
It's also after 2 road trips to Baton Rouge and Coral Gables. That's tough.
I'm not saying it's not. I think that I'm not saying it's not at all. I'm just suggesting that if for whatever reason the swamp became the swamp yet again, like we've seen in the past, that place is a beast when it's rolling. And it hasn't been that way the last couple of years. There were times last year was pretty good, by the way. The LSU game, I believe that game was at 2:30. That game, by the end of it, was a madhouse. It was awesome. I think as you fast forward and you look where things are going here in a couple months, if they're good and the swamp is rolling, that Texas game becomes gettable. I don't care what anyone says. Go on the road in this league is a beast. You go on the road, I don't care how much the advantage might be in one team's favor as far as personnel. It's awesome. Great. You can have it.
Texas doesn't have familiarity there either.
Yeah,
but I think that works against you a little bit more. I do.
Just
I don't know. A little bit.
I don't know. I really don't know. But I do know this. I know that I want no part of the swamp when it's rocking. No one does. It's
Not
a beast.
many people do. No.
It's like Neyland the last couple. Like, what is Neyland? How much has the environment at Neyland changed the last couple of years as Tennessee's actually been halfway decent? Right? It's a totally different animal.
Yes.
And then they got really, really good, and then it became impossible to win there. Or next to impossible. Now, hey, Florida almost did last year. I mean, Florida almost went up there and stole that one. You know, so if Jalen Miller doesn't throw an interception in the end zone, maybe Bama wins one there. You know, I mean, there's no telling, but it's not easy to play up there. Like when I was in school going to Neyland, no problem. It's another road trip. I'd rather play there than Arkansas. You know what I mean? Now it's like, look out.
You've heard me tell the story. I've told it to a lot of people. It is the loudest stadium I've ever been in my life. And unfortunately, we caught them after a national title. But it's, you know, that when that place is going, I don't think there's another place like it. And Baton Rouge is similar. This is going to sound crazy. It's similar in different ways. But if you're just talking about deafening noise, just like shake the stadium noise, I don't think there's another place like Neyland. Now, Gainesville gets going and it's loud, but the proximity works against you a little bit too. And I think the architecture just makes the perception of it different. And Baton Rouge at night is just nutty. But you got people throwing stuff at you, and that's just, there's a lot.
It's more hostile, but it might not be as loud.
It's not as loud. It isn't. It's not as loud as Neyland.
And nothing's as hostile as Baton Rouge.
Fair.
But if you're an SEC football player, you're probably not going to get your feelings hurt by what fans are saying to you. I don't think, at least. If you are, you're in the wrong league. Home skillet.
This ain't you're in my SEC, buddy. There's some feelings hurt out there.
Well,
occasionally. Sometimes. All right.
Better be pretty good. If you're going to get your feelings hurt, you better be good.
Of those teams we just mentioned whose stadiums could be of great benefit, which one of those it can extend the most this year? We'll discuss that when we come back on Mac and Cube in the morning. Talking SEC teams whose home fields are a massive advantage. I'm not sure what made me think about this. Maybe it's your CBD store that got me thinking about numbers. Because they have a number of products that can help you. Better night's sleep, better focus throughout the course of the day. How about just calming down in the evenings? New products that can help you with that at the largest brick and mortar CBD retailer in the world. If your pet has arthritis or anxiety issues, they can help there. Can also help you with those. They've helped multiple pets in my household be able to get around just a little bit better when they were getting older and the joints were bothering them. Your CBD store, first company to have USDA certified organic oil supplements. They've got the stamp seal on the products. So check out one of their 3 locations. Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cage in Cleveland, Trustful just off 459, and now downtown in 5 Points, your CBD store where good health hits home. If you had to go back and wear a different number, what number would you have worn? Were you 12 in high school?
No. I was 17 in high school, 12 at Bama, 14 in the NFL with the Jets, and then 7 with the Bengals. 7 because I was half the player I was.
If you had your choice of number, everything was a clean slate. You can go starting in the NFL or in college. Again, let's start at college. Like you get to Alabama, you have your choice of number. It couldn't be 12. And also, did you wear 12 because of the amount of national championships?
12 because of Namath. Dad's favorite player is Namath. So it was honor of my dad and Namath. And Stabler. Frankly, Snake.
What number did your dad wear?
Dad wore 68.
It's a good O-line number.
Yeah, good O-line number.
It's a guard number.
Right guard, pulling guard.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a good guard number.
They ran the veer.
If you had to go back again, no 12. It's not on the table. What number? But you had any other choice?
If I could have any number outside of 12, I'd probably go 11. That'd probably be number
good
1.
Quarterback number.
Probably be number 1, followed by 17. I like 17.
Steve DeBerg.
Phillip Rivers.
I feel like 7's a great quarterback number.
It is a great quarterback number, but single digits don't always wear well.
That's fair.
Like, I like double digits, personally. Singles are fine if you're skinny. If you're big and wide, singles look odd. From time
like D lineman. So why do we not wear the O lineman in college go single digits if the D lineman can?
Hadn't earned it. Grade 1.5.
I think if I could go do it again, I wore 61. That was just given to me when I got to Auburn, and I was like, I'm not changing. Like these guys have changed their numbers. I think it's so weird. You've got all this gear, you got everything. Like that's your number, and I don't know. It feels strange. I just didn't want to change. I think I would wear 51 if I could do it again.
51's a
as
good
a
one.
Center. Yeah.
Anything in the 50s is good. If I were a center, and what's my build? I need to know my size. Let's go with kind of I'll give you the short squatty center. Like sure.
Kind of a little bit taller than Vallejo's.
6'2", 310.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, let's say 6'3", 310, because I would never be 6'2", 210. 6'3", 310. I want number 50 or 55.
6'2", 310 with the 0 on there is going to be, I feel, a little bit more widening.
So you want physically
that.
Imposing.
You're going for that.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. 100%. I want width. If that's what I am, that's what I am. You gotta acknowledge your own size.
Acceptance is key when it comes to your girth. I get it.
You have to acknowledge that you are, hey, look, I know this.
Fat is fat.
I'm going to be honest with you. Nobody wants to see me in a Speedo. Nobody wants to see that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. My wife doesn't want to see that. My kids don't want to see that. And I promise you, nobody at the pool / beach / lake wants to see that either. So guess what? If I'm 6'6", 400, nobody wants to see you rocking number 4. No one wants to see that. Doesn't fit. You want to wear double aught? I can live with that. Not just 0, double 0.
Right.
Or 99, action.
Yes.
Or 90, action.
Mm-hmm.
But you're limited. You're limited.
You are.
If you're over 400 pounds, you should probably be in the 60s anyways.
Ooh. Now, I will say, once you go super jumbo size, I think I appreciate the single digits even more.
Really? It's too aggressive for me.
By the way, did you see the pro day numbers for our guy down in Gainesville?
Watson?
Yeah.
Love it. 410? 6'6", 410?
No.
450.
Try again.
450.
Oh, I don't want to miss 6'6", which I did not know that.
Yeah.
464.
Eesh.
Said he would be the heaviest player in NFL history if drafted.
I'll take the under undrafted.
Now, Let me throw this at you. Could Desmond Watson be our answer to the tush push?
Perhaps. You think he's going to be a giant?
Tush push Terminator.
Something tells you I would just go around him.
If you are,
by the way, is he going to be on the field in fourth down?
If he's only 4 fourth downs, yes, he can make it. If you are the Commanders, the Cowboys, or the Giants, do you strategically consider this draft pick for that alone?
Well, it's a pretty easy fix if I'm calling plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. Hey, if we're going tush push, we are going no huddle.
Oh, because you're not.
Because he ain't getting there.
He did go 25-inch vert, which I think is kind of impressive.
Really good
for 464. Apparently, the folks down in Gainesville said he squats 720 and benches 520.
Not surprised by either of those things. Squat.
He did 225 36 times.
Yeah.
But some of these numbers for 464 are actually because you see her 464 and you're like,
dude.
He's not going to be able to do anything.
No, he's a beast. There's no doubt he's a beast. But you cannot deny the fact that he is a liability when it comes to being able to play more than 3 snaps in a row. You get into a no-huddle situation, you're toast. And you can't sub him out. That's the problem. He's a freak.
5'8", 640. So he's faster than you.
Probably not. Maybe backwards.
Seriously, though, 36 on the bench, 25 vert, 5'8", 640 at 464.
It's impressive.
It's really impressive,
It's very good.
It's a 720 squat.
Seriously, with 460.
It just all it does though is just continue to make you think like what could have been, what if?
Yeah.
He could have just gotten a little bit
down
more
to
off.
380.
Oh, 380, he'd be Quentin Williams.
Monster.
Be unstoppable.
Does he not want to get it off?
When we covered them, we were always told it was a touchy subject and not to broach it. Which I'm not sure how you.
What makes it touchy?
He's a giant.
You either can lose weight or you don't want to lose weight.
I don't think he wanted to talk about it or they didn't want to talk about it. I just that's kind of how it was just described to us.
Yeah. Well,
we're not going there. Don't go there.
Fair enough.
And maybe that was because so many people were trying to, and they were just like, you know what, we're not going to do that to that kid anymore, which is probably a good job by the sports information department there.
Fair enough.
Go somewhere else.
All right. What if you're 6'6", 330, right tackle?
Oh, tackle. I want 71.
71? You like the ones.
I do.
Why?
It's kind of leaning, but it doesn't lose intimidation.
The most lean would be 77.
No.
Double numbers.
No, that adds width. Not 70, because 77's like way out there. The one is.
Who rocks 71? I feel like there's a lot of good
Willie
NFL.
Anderson did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'd go 78.
78's a good one. I mean, that's like one of your best tackle numbers all time.
Yeah, 78, 75 are the two best tackle numbers.
Munoz, Richmond Webb, it's just the list goes on and on and on. 78s.
I mean, how barrel chested do you have to be to wear 78 though? Like honestly, every 78 takes a back seat to Larry. Larry Allen is the greatest 78 of all time. Or did he wear 77?
Larry Allen, I think, was 77.
Besides Luca's the best 77. Come on now.
Luca?
You want to talk
best
about
in Dallas?
Talk about a gross number. Is a basketball player wearing 77?
That is disgusting.
It is.
I feel bad for the officials that have to call a foul on him. 7. Brutal.
Larry Allen, 73.
73.
But you know what? Larry Allen stretched the jersey so much, it didn't really matter what number.
It didn't matter. All the lines.
It was going to look like a different number half the time anyway.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you watch him, it's like, is that 78, 72, 70? I know it's a 7, but it's just like it's all over the place.
Yeah.
There's so much
I
mass.
think Bruce Smith wore 78.
Bruce Smith wore 78. That's why I wore 78 in high school. I wanted to be Bruce Smith.
78 is a great number.
For a tackle especially.
Y'all have the worst choices.
Geno James.
All right, what about this? 6'4", 320 left guard.
6'4", 320 left guard, 66.
66 is 66, 65 best guard numbers. For sure.
68, not bad. You can roll a 68 there.
All right. What about 6'1", 210 corner?
6'1", so you got some length. 210 corner. I always want 21 at corner.
21's a lock. Absolute lock.
If I couldn't have that, I probably want 2.
It's got to be 21, right?
That's what
In
I would go
traditional
with, yeah.
numbers. We're not going, oh, well, I want 7. All right, fine. You can have your single digits. Traditional numbers.
21's it.
All right.
That's
How
the
about
corner number.
this one? 5'11", 185 slot receiver.
80.
80's a good one. Like
If
Andre
you're going
Reed.
traditional numbers, because
Yeah.
like now they would probably wear like 9.
Yeah,
or 2.
that would be a single digit now. But traditional numbers, for sure.
All right, good number.
What
combo.
about 6'6",
6'6"?
240 quarterback?
Oh. 14.
Jeff George. Yeah, 14's a good one.
14. That's because you're giving me the old school quarterback build. 14 is the old school like go-to quarterback number.
Yes.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
You were
for
kind
sure.
of it kind of said that you could sling it, but you're a hoss at the same time.
100%.
That's what 14 says.
Yes. like honestly, in the next life, you'd play tight end. But in this life, you're playing quarterback. That I wore 14. So I dig it. I'm all about it.
Fouts, Marino, like that it goes on for a
My
while.
options when I got to the Jets were just the worst, by the way. It was like, you can have number 5. I'm like, ugh, it's the worst. You can have, I think, what else was available? 3. Like, ugh. No, Nick Folk had 3. He's a kicker. Favre had 4 the year before. So that was out. 12 was gone. Namath. I mean, the options were like 5, 13, 14, and 19. I'm like, ooh, I'll take 14.
Listen to this just quick 78s from the NFL real quick. All right, Richmond Webb, Bruce Armstrong, Keith Van Horn. Kind of a joke there. Bubba Smith, John Hand, Max Starks, John Stinchcomb, Alejandro Villanueva, Leon Lett. Just 78s. Anthony Munoz. I mentioned Geno James. Bruce Smith, Art Shell, Jackie Slater. 78s just go, man.
78s do go.
That was Orlando Brown Jr. That was the tackle. That's the tackle number for me.
I'll tell you the one I just don't have time for that a lot of the kids are going to now is like a 67 or a 69. I
think they both are terrible.
They're both terrible. I agree.
The only good 67 I can ever remember is Russell Maryland. And it's just because he played D tackle.
Yeah, but D tackle's different. Like,
Yeah,
that's
but
like,
but
that's,
it stuck out because he was a D tackle.
Yeah, you wear a 60 number as a D tackle. You better be a beast.
Dude, played Gerard Warren at Florida nose guard, 61. And
You knew it was,
number 3
you
pick
knew
in
it
the
was
draft.
on. It was on. if
Wingspan
that
was
went
like
down.
14 feet.
Yep.
Ridiculous.
100%.
All right, back to finish it up next. Mac and Cube in the morning. 9:51, McElroy, Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. 800-239-9569. You want to get in? Final segment of the show. Tweet in at Mac and Cube as well. Keith tweets in, Arkansas State starting left tackle, 6'8", 320. His number is 65. No, that's the wrong number. 6'8", 320.
There is no wrong number. There's just better numbers.
Fair.
Unless you choose 67, 69.
I feel like a guard. 65 is a guard number, I feel like.
59's terrible.
And you're 6'8", so you go like 71, 75, 78, and you're cooking. Not 65 at 6'8", man. Do you think he plays away games? That's going to be in my brain every time now. Like, I need to go back and ask Bielema, did Dan Skipper travel?
Yeah.
I think I saw him playing away games, but he was 6'10". He got on a bus? Then everybody's going to be like, what are you talking about?
How often do you think he was sharing a seat on the bus, though?
That's a never.
That's a never.
That is an absolute never. Not even close to one single time. Ever. No. Can you imagine the guys that tried to? Dan Skipper's just going, dude, really? Uncle Kirk tweets in, great recovery, guys. Solid mid to upper 90s to finish strong with. It could be higher, but needs to go back and watch the tape. At least you're going to watch the tape, Uncle Kirk.
You got to watch the tape.
Jolly says, 450? I'm about 240 and my joints hurt. 450, good grief. No, it's 464.
464, running.
Jumping. Benching.
It's impressive. Doing athletic stuff.
Being 464?
Doing sports.
That in and of itself is impressive. I agree.
100%. Doing sports. It's a big deal.
John Mack tweets in, Chris Lando Canty. Yes, he has the Lando Calrissian. Here it is. You see this? The Lando Calrissian. That's the Chris Canty right there. Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
It did.
It was so aggressive.
Why did they ban that? Who got their finger broken in it?
No, it wasn't that. They banned it because of you couldn't wear dark visors and messed up face masks because it was like concussion awareness. So you could see their eyes like through the dark visors. That's why they got rid of tinted visors, all that stuff.
Was Brady coming up to the line of scrimmage saying, hey, Chris Canty needs to go to protocol, guys. I can see it in his eyes. Take your helmet off and look at him. What? It couldn't have been that.
I don't know. I don't know.
That is dumber than not traveling to road games because the bus is small.
I understand that, but I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. You ask me things like this. You ask me stuff like this sometimes, and I don't know what you want me to answer it with.
I was confident that they banned those face masks because people were getting their fingers stuck in them, or at least they thought they would.
Yeah.
Not concussion things. Wild face masks of the NFL. That doesn't answer my question. I need to know, why were they banned? NFL prohibiting non-standard face masks. Oh, they got the picture of the one you're talking about right here, Chris Canty's. Ian Rappaport obtained a league memo from NFL Executive Vice President Troy Vincent. Standards for athletic equipment show that non-standard face masks more frequently fail safety and certification tests and are not up to NFL standards. What? What are they, not metal?
No.
Remember the World League face masks that were like
those
plastic?
They were like this thick. Yeah, those are gross.
They were actually plastic though.
Yeah, they were plastic and they were gross.
Disgusting. Kendall Simmons wore one in the NFL. Every time I talk to him about it, I'm like, what were you doing?
I don't have the answer to that, but I do know that those were a face mask option on our 7th grade football team, and I don't think a single guy had one. Like, I'd rather have a helmet that didn't.
Safety tests? I would feel like they'd be more safe.
No, I told you.
It's a bulkier face mask to absorb more of the blow and helps prevent you from getting poked in the eye or the teeth.
Maybe deliver the blow.
You know what these face masks are great for? When you play against Richard Seymour and he tries to eye gouge you at the goal line. It happened.
That's worthy of a 1.5.
1.5. 1.5.
Is that down or up? Have we worked our way up to that, or have we worked our way all the way down?
That's how many eyes you'd have left after is 1.5.
Listen, I fail at this show every day. It's nothing new.
No. 1.5 is bad, though, even by our standards.
It's also not real.
Of course it's not.
Just like when Kirk tweets his in. your grades for us are not real. You are the PFF of listeners. Therefore,
white lady on
most people know exactly where we stand with you.
That lady at the airport, that ain't real.
No, good call.
You didn't want to drop the expletives in there on top
I
of that
like my
either?
job. No.
Is she still famous?
She fun, I'll tell you that.
Oh,
Wow.
Back tomorrow. 3-man front is next.